The events unfold on the imperial square of Andreus. The princess was already prepared for the sacrifice. King Andreus asked Master Mason if the black dragon was a priority for him. Maysont replied that His Majesty should not worry. In fact, this dragon was stupid. It would simply approach the gate to capture the princess. It must have been expelled from the dragon's nest, which caused the storm. The citizens began to panic as soon as they saw the flying black dragon. The black dragon arrived. Then it grabbed the princess. Mason ordered his men to attack it quickly. Arrows flew toward the dragon. The man began to cast a spell. Thanks to this, its wing was wounded. However, he continued flying despite the pain. Upon arriving at the cave, he laid the princess on the floor and then lay down beside her. Suddenly something happened, and the dragon spoke. His first question was about who had spilled water on his electrical wiring. He immediately fell silent as soon as he realized what he had said. Whose claws were these anyway? He accidentally jumped up and fell face down. There was water in front of his face, and only then did he see his reflection. Had he really been reborn as a dragon? For some reason it made him feel sad, because he didn't understand why a dragon. He heard a noise and looked toward the source. And then he saw a girl. It was good that she wasn't seriously injured. He even wondered if the beautiful girl wanted to experience the dragon's breath. A system window appeared before his eyes. A system of war and plunder was at his disposal. Following this system, a system of transformation and evolution appeared. And then a system of evil deeds. Why were there so many systems? Was he truly gifted by the heavens? There were too many systems, so integration began. The integration was complete. Now it was an absolutely invincible self-transformation, a super revolution, a system for plundering evil fighting dragons. In short, it was a system of evil dragons. Instead of normal words, he made some incomprehensible sounds. But he wanted to know how to use this system. The system explained that the master did not need to say anything. He could say it to himself. The master has a special favor from a female NPC, which allows him to activate special abilities. With the help of system points, the master can restore his body and its individual parts. If he kills a player, he gets 1 point. If he kills an enemy, the host gets 0.5 system points. However, he wanted to know what kind of players they were, and what kind of NPCs they were in general. It was as if he had entered the universe of some kind of game. The request is being processed. System permission is disabled. It is not possible to answer the question. The host has kidnapped a special female NPC of SSS rank. The system asked to continue. A little later, he was busy reading some obscene books. He immediately tried to distract himself. It was already late, and Sunian was busy with who knows what. A girl approached him because she was cold. This class is really unusual. It seems that the little dragon was truly chosen by the heavens. The system detected a rare SSS-ranked lowly character. After that, it asked if the owner wanted to check the corresponding panel or view the character's card. Sunian wanted to do just that. Her full name is Anna Hathaway. She is 18 elven years old. Class SSS, race, lower elf. Condition: starvation, frostbite, infection. Only 2 days left to live. Abilities unknown. Affinity level, -80. She is afraid. Since her sympathy level is too low, it is impossible to obtain system points and abilities. The master must raise her sympathy to 0 in order to obtain first-level abilities. But she only has 2 days left to live. Such a rare character, and for nothing. Of course, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Suddenly he let out another cry. Anna pressed herself even closer to him, because it was so warm there. What a disgrace. What had he just shouted? He found a bearskin and covered Anna with it. She wouldn't be so cold now. His likability rating went up 10 points. Just covering her with a blanket could increase his likability rating by that much. Easy. By the way, he even wanted to make a deal with the system to give him points, and then he would increase his likability. Of course, the system didn't agree to that, but there was nothing he could do now. She was dying. Sunian asked how he would find food and increase his sympathy rating. Maybe there was some kind of gift for newbies. The master is right. A newcomer's kit was issued. An emergency healing card, valid for 30 minutes. This card draws life from the master. Half an hour after use, the master weakens and loses consciousness. So that's what all this circus is for. Isn't that the same as rewarding him with his own reward? It was his only chance. After all, her body is weakening. It doesn't look like she can save herself. She's so weak she's shaking. So he decided to use the emergency healing card. The system reported that the healing card had been activated. She asked her master to take care of himself. Since he was a dragon, he obviously couldn't survive on fruit alone. He needed to find at least a little meat, or he would weaken in half an hour. and if he didn't get enough food, he could die of starvation. Fortunately, his problem was quickly solved. Suddenly, he saw 25th class moon wolves running towards him. 3rd level beasts. Wolves are very territorial creatures. Could they be feeding here? No wonder they ran out as soon as he approached. Still, dragons are great creatures and won't settle for simple food. So why was he feeling nauseous with excitement? He simply decided to incinerate this Volga. The others immediately became frightened when they saw that their comrades were gone. However, he had no trouble dealing with the other two. Then he looked at the cave. The dragon returned, and she was no longer asleep. Anna's mind was clearly racing with thoughts that she was about to die. However, the main character thought that she had not yet woken up. It seemed that this girl was indeed very ill. But how could he feed her if she was unconscious? Anna suddenly jumped up and told the creature to go away. Sunyan immediately gave her an apple. Anna asked if this Mr. Dragon was going to eat her, but he didn't want to do that. At the same time, from Anna's perspective, the dragon didn't understand why she had fallen again. He even asked the system what was wrong with her. The system replied that it was the heat. Fear had caused her to lose consciousness. Sunyan asked if he should get points for the wolves he had killed recently. The master killed 3 second-level moon wolves. Since they were only hostile, the system points were halved. The system congratulated him on earning 30 points. Since he had earned his first points, the system store was now open. He needed to find some medicine. In accordance with the current situation, the system recommended taking advantage of a special offer and spending 10 system points to purchase a Baikal helmet, which is used in traditional medicine. His grandfather often said that it helps lower fever. Sunian didn't even expect that the system had earthly items. After that, an item appeared in front of him. The dragon asked how to use it. It seemed he had no other choice. He cherished this flower and was ready to give it to her through his mouth. Suddenly, he felt that the card's effect had apparently ended. He began to weaken rapidly. He could no longer hold on as his body grew heavier. Meanwhile, she dreamed that she was walking through the desert. It was so hot, and she wanted water. And then she saw a dragon flying toward her. At that moment, she woke up. Anna noticed that the same dragon had covered her from the rain. Her mouth tasted bitter. It tasted like medicine. Could it be that the dragon had saved her? She liked him even more now, and he had probably picked these fruits for her again. She added another 20 points to her liking for him. This dragon looks cute. Another 20 points were added to her liking. She even tried to wake Mr. Dragon up. Could he be dead? Anna even thought it was because she had stabbed him with a knife. The girl begged the dragon to wake up. Anna Hathaway's sympathy level increased by 100 points. The current level was 90. The sympathy met the requirements for the first level. The system congratulated the owner on obtaining the initial level of ability and absorption. It also congratulated him on receiving 2,000 system points. Initial absorption. Eating food can quickly restore strength and cause a certain level of self-healing, but appetite will also increase. He immediately woke up from hunger. The dragon didn't understand why he suddenly wanted to eat so much. He had just eaten. Then he noticed that he had slept and gained abilities. Nevertheless, every cell in his body was begging for food. His gaze was drawn to Anna. He even thought for a moment about cooking her, but then Sunyan pushed those thoughts away. He couldn't eat her. Besides, his affection for her had already reached 90. Only then did he suddenly realize that his affection had grown so quickly. He even fantasized about Anna saying that she really liked such a tall and handsome dragon. After all, he was so big and powerful. His fantasies were shattered by reality. Anna began coughing up blood. Sunyan didn't understand why Anna had become so weak. She only had 1 day left to live. The system informed the owner that obtaining this character, in addition to acquiring the ability, would also grant 2,000 additional points. The changes in the body had already reached their peak. Abilities that altered the body had been unlocked. It seemed that this girl had saved him. However, he still did not know what illness she had contracted. It was clear that the medicine couldn't have prolonged her life that much. After that, he opened the system store. There were all kinds of things there. The dragon immediately became angry because she was sick, and this swindler was offering him this. What kind of joke was this? The store was opened specifically for him, but not for this elf. But the dress really did look attractive. The exchange was complete. 10 points were retained. He immediately covered himself, because he didn't want to look at it. The dragon had spikes there. First, she needed to be healed. He ordered the system to unlock abilities that alter the body. External modifications. Strengthening of claws and fangs, steel scales, body shape modification. Internal modifications. Heart, blood vessels, muscles, organs, senses, internal organs. He wanted to look at the healing modifications. Eye modification. The initial level of insight is worth 1,000 points. It allows you to superficially learn about an object or condition. This is what he needs. Sunian wanted eye modification, the initial level of insight. The exchange was complete. The points were deducted. The eye modification was activated. The system warned that there might be some discomfort during the change. The owner should not try to scratch their eyes. Then something started happening to his eye. It stung and itched. It was painful. Then he looked at Anna. It said that she was a lower elf and had the highest level of abilities: weakness, night sweats, and sensitivity to cold. Ulcers on her legs, anemia, cough, esophageal spasms, heart failure, and lung inflammation. It's a miracle she's even alive with symptoms like that. Suddenly, he heard voices that had just found the dragon's lair. It must be somewhere nearby. He had to hide. Black Viper mercenaries arrived at the lair. To be more precise, they were just a bunch of idiots. And there was also the Chief Knight of Wales, a 21st class warrior. He himself said that killing a dragon was easier than anything. Selena, 18th class, fire mage, idiot. It didn't look like the mercenaries had come here with good intentions. He told the system to add reinforcement to his claws and fangs, as well as steel scales. Modifications added. These changes cost 1,000 points. Current points, 130. The master had already become stronger, so the system told him to attack faster. They immediately saw the dragon begin to fly. Wales ordered everyone to prepare for battle. However, some began to feel that this silly dragon had somehow changed. It was a fire mage. She told everyone to stop because she saw that something was wrong. However, the knight thought she was just afraid. Don't listen to her. If she hadn't cast the spell to break the bonds in the square, who knows, maybe they would have already captured that stupid dragon. He saw that the dragon was flying west, so he ordered everyone to follow it. Selena didn't understand why he was flying out of the forest. Perhaps his treasure was there, and he didn't want them to find it. That's why the dragon was flying in the opposite direction. What idiots they are. Then he suddenly changed direction and decided to deal with these soldiers. Wales attacked the dragon. He wanted to defeat this dragon himself. However, his sword couldn't even pierce its scales. The knight didn't understand why he couldn't hurt it. He wondered why his back was itching so much. It turned out that a flea had latched onto him. The man became angry and asked what he would do to him for that. Sunian replied that he should leave that question for his next life. The subordinates noticed that the chief knight was dead, so they began to scatter. Of course, he wouldn't let them escape. They were worth points, after all. But someone still started running as fast as they could. The system congratulated the master, saying that he had earned 150 points in this battle. That was somehow not enough. Then he remembered that there was another witch there and immediately flew back. Selena saw the shadow of a dragon approaching. At the same time, she was healing the princess. She would not let the monster get any closer. To do this, the girl used a binding spell. How tired she was. Sunian didn't understand what the hell was going on. He didn't even have any dragon breath left. If he had known about this earlier, he wouldn't have used it at all. He noticed her threatening smile, not understanding what she wanted to do. Humans and dragons are not compatible. The current score was 280. He was tired of putting up with this crazy woman's antics. He knocked her down with his paw. The dragon asked who she was fighting for, and why she wouldn't answer. Only then did he remember that she was speaking to him in human language. The dragon asked the system how many points it would cost to modify his vocal cords. Modifying the vocal cords would cost 300 points. A loan service appeared in the system notifications. The loan repayment amount was increased by 50% of the loan amount. This system clearly wants to rob him. However, the system reported that it does not engage in illegal activities. In any case, he decided to take the voice modification. The modification was activated. This time, a loan of 20 points was taken. Next time, the repayment amount with interest will be 30 points. Sunian demanded to know who sent her here and why she came in the first place. Selena clearly did not expect him to be able to speak. However, the dragon demanded an answer, as he did not have much patience. And then she told him that King Andreus had hired a group of mercenaries to find and kill the dragon. All for the sake of the prince's health. Rumor has it that the prince has a problem with continuing his lineage. And in order to get rid of this problem, he needs to eat some of the dragon's organs. This made him even angrier. Selena begged him not to push so hard. He was just fixated on the fact that this old bastard wanted the prince to eat not only his heart, but also his dignity. After these words, the king even sneezed. He couldn't believe that these bastards still hadn't found the dragon. Apparently, these nobodies were completely useless. The king asked what Master Mason had to say. He said that the dragon had already crossed the Mulligan Plains and entered the Silver Moon Forest. The dragon was young and weak, but it had managed to escape far into the mountains. However, Using the tracking seal consumed a great deal of energy and magical materials. Therefore, the master believed that more money was needed. What a bloodsucker. I wish he would just die. The kingdom is small. Didn't that master see that there isn't that much gold here? He doesn't have the same possessions as Marcus Island. He has already given 3,000 gold lions. Andreus can only give him 500. That's all he has. And if he refuses, then that will be the end of them. The sorceress was bound. The main character checked what she had on her. A potion of divine light. It speeds up meditation. A potion of resurrection. It restores health. Sunian asked if she knew how to heal. Selena replied that she would rather die than heal the dragon. At that moment, he untied her. The dragon demanded that she heal Anna. Selena asked if the dragon didn't know that she wasn't a princess. Of course he knew. Any fool could see that. Wasn't it obvious that humans couldn't give birth to a half-elf with fox ears and a tail? Selena didn't understand why he was saving her. He couldn't just say she was a rare character. So the dragon replied that they were best friends. Their affection had already reached 90%. Definitely best friends. She didn't even expect them to be best friends. The system congratulated the user on unlocking a new character. Affection plus 20. Full name, Selena Luther. 19 years old. Human, SSS class. Good health. Abilities, dark magic. Affection level, -30. And now he had gotten another character with the same class. Fortunately, he hadn't turned her into system points. She heard him say something about class, and he immediately replied that it was nothing. Sunian asked how Anna was doing. Not very good. Her injuries are very serious. 1 bottle of potion won't be enough. The dragon then asked what she needed. She needed a completely stable environment, as well as medicine and food, and one very good cleric. However, he thought that she was that cleric. Not all people study healing magic. Anna woke up and asked them not to fight. If she could survive, that was already good news. She thanked the Dragon Lord, saying she didn't deserve it. Sunian was glad she had woken up. The same could be said for Selena. The character's emotional state is unstable. Support from the master is needed. If that's the case, there's nothing we can do. Selena was frightened when she saw that the dragon had swallowed her. Just because she said she was unworthy didn't mean she was giving herself permission to be eaten. The stupid chain was at least as heavy as she was. It seemed that the king was willing to do anything to catch the dragon. Apparently, he would have to find a new lair. Now she was covered in the dragon's saliva. Anna asked the Dragon Lord what he was doing. Selena also demanded that the dragon release her immediately. Sunian replied that the cave was no longer safe. They needed to find a new refuge. He also asked her not to say such things anymore. The girl agreed. His sympathy rose by 10 points. Current level, 100. Thanks to this, he unlocked a new achievement. The system also congratulated the master on receiving 1,000 points. It was so delicious that they weren't even sure they could carry it out. He too had been living only for this moment. A little later, a pack of dog-like creatures appeared there. They stopped because they sensed that something was wrong. Sunian wondered what this was. He even stroked the dog with his claw. Now he was convinced that it was indeed a real dragon. He never would have thought that he would meet a living dragon in his lifetime. He addressed the great dragon, speaking on behalf of all the Soglafts of the Crooked-Tooth tribe. He begged the dragon to allow them all to become a family. They would be loyal servants, ready to do anything for their master. Soglavitz Krivozeb, 7th class, 1st level. Current sympathy level, 80. Revered. Weak, travel in packs. Blindly worship dragons. The dragon noticed that they were so weak, so what use would they be to him if they became his family? Even though they are weak, they can polish every scale of a dragon. They can also build him a magnificent nest. They can also find deposits of the rarest materials to make him rich. What simpletons. And they're not afraid to give everything they have. Sunian would see what they had in mind. But right now, he needed a spacious, dry cave. So the dragon asked if they could build one for him. The dog told his master to follow him. They arrived at a small village with houses and food. This is where the Crooked-Tooth tribe lives. This place will be the beginning of the master's domain. The current score is 970. From this moment on, Sunian Waters Pardernak accepts their loyalty and swears by his name that he will protect and defend them. He even offered Epocleus to become his sworn brother. Epocleus seemed to have been waiting for this moment his entire life. Damn formalities. A precious stone seemed to appear on his face. The main character asked what had happened to them. Were there really so few of them? Hippocles asked the master to decide their fate. Not long ago, the tribe was attacked by Ettercap spiders. They did not plunder their land or capture the cave with the mines. He led the survivors away with him. When they reached this cave, they settled here. If there are workers, there will be money. And if there is money, they can buy a healing potion to delay Anna's illness and even sleep on gold. Sun Yan asked what kind of mine they had before, and how many Ettercap spiders there were. Ipokli replied that it was a silver mine. There were 5 Ettercap spiders, and these creatures were cruel. They really like to suck out brains. Their mouths are kind of like a DI. It's hard to tell how many spiders there are. He turned to the system and asked if there was a characteristic card for the Ettercap. The information was temporarily unavailable to players. The system recommended purchasing an encyclopedia that contained general descriptions and weaknesses of a large number of monsters that were inaccessible to players. He immediately decided to buy it. He paid 900 points for it. Sun Yan couldn't believe he had paid so many points for one damn book. This system was clearly mocking him. The system asked him to be patient. As they say, knowledge is power. He didn't care about that power. He just wanted his money back. However, sold goods cannot be returned or exchanged. All he could do now was cry over his lost points. Anna asked the Dragon Lord what had happened to him. The main character replied that nothing had happened. The task was simply too difficult, and he couldn't solve it. Ettercap. Capable of walking upright. Has compound eyes. Fangs secrete poison. 28th class. Special abilities include control over spiders and vulnerability to fire. Uses an exoskeleton. Resistant to acid, attacks with water. Now he's definitely doomed. Dragon breath contains acid, but even its damage has a limit. He can't take them on alone because they'll call spiders to surround him. If his breath were fire, it would be much better. So what does he need to buy? First level horn. Modifies acid in the poison glands. Adds cells that produce magma. Allows him to breathe poisonous fire. Costs 1,000 points. First level dragon breath reserve. Modification that transforms the parietal cells of the poison glands. Increases the speed of dragon breath reserve. Cost is the same as the previous item. He inquired about any bandit strongholds or black beast mercenaries nearby. Hippocleus replied that there were indeed 2 bandit groups and mercenaries of the Bloody Lion nearby. He had not heard of any black beasts. The dragon ordered half of the warriors to gather and follow him. They would visit the nearest fortress. According to the system, the enemies were relatively strong, but the bandits did not stray far. It was a great place to earn points. John told Anna and Selena to stay here. He would be back soon. Anna asked the Dragon Lord to return quickly. Selena simply agreed with him. He also warned Selena not to even think about running away. The girl asked how she could do that, although she clearly had such thoughts in her head. From the Silver Moon, the fortress of the Whirlwind Bandits, the captain has returned, so we need to open the gates. He congratulated his brothers on returning home safely with a huge haul. We need to drink to that. Their captain was so strong. They had looted a lot today. Thanks to this loot, they can now rest peacefully for the rest of the month. The man replied that it was a gift for the captain. A subordinate informed the captain that a black dragon was flying toward them. He certainly did not expect to encounter a dragon at his base. At that moment, the main character landed there, and everyone began to scatter in all directions. While people ran screaming for help, points were added to his score for each kill. The main character began to spew poisonous flames. The man couldn't see anything because of this, and it was very painful. Others began to scatter because of the crowd of dogs hunting them. The system congratulated the owner on earning 1,020 points in this battle. They all began to praise their dragon. Thanks to him, they were able to win. The system began to collect trophies. Ipokli informed his master that there were many boxes here. It must be all the loot, so they decided to drag everything here. The dragon ordered everything to be taken to the lair. There was flour, silver, gold, apples, and transformation potions. These potions were just what he needed. He took the lowest level transformation potion from Coco. It allowed him to transform non-human creatures into humans, inheriting 10% of their strength. The effect lasted for 1 hour. With this potion, he would turn into a human and then return to Anne and Selena. He even began to imagine it. Selena even asked him to take her as his admirer, and she wanted to kiss his feet. But if you translate that into human terms, he's a teenager. Won't that turn into a Shota? In any case, it doesn't matter. He'll just go down fighting. He has an hour anyway. In the worst case, he'll wait for the effect to wear off and then return. The system reported that he had used a transformation potion. The transformation began. He returned to the egg. Then the shell cracked open and a naked young man appeared. Ipokli couldn't understand how his master had been able to transform himself. Sun Yan immediately covered his body and asked the system where his clothes were. The system reported that the potion was taking effect too quickly and that the clothes were still loading. The main character admitted that he was indeed handsome, and his age was just right. He used to worry about the differences between humans and dragons, because there are things that are difficult to do. But now, 6 hours would be enough for him. Sun Yan asked the dog if everything was ready. He reported to his master that the last box had been loaded. They were finishing up. In that case, he would return to the lair. If he was not mistaken, he could switch between human and dragon form as many times as he wanted while the potion was active. Meanwhile, Selena thought this was the perfect chance for Togo to escape. Anna asked the girl where she was going. Selena replied that she was going wherever she wanted. She also added that after Togo, since she had failed to catch the dragon and the mercenaries had been destroyed, if she returned, she wouldn't even be given the position of assistant magician. Anna asked her to look at what she had just found. Selena asked if she wasn't afraid of Togo, the vile dragon who had kidnapped her. In fact, she considered him very gentle. This was clearly not what Selena expected to hear. How could a dragon be gentle? Then the dog announced that they had returned. Selena was surprised again, as she couldn't understand how they could have returned so quickly. The current score was 1090. Sun Yan, who had temporarily turned into a dragon and was therefore late, returned with a joyful expression on his face and announced that he was back. Suddenly, a staff flew into his face. He immediately removed the staff and asked what was wrong with them. It was him, Sun Yan. At that moment, he saw the destroyed state of the village. There were also spider webs there. Selena immediately approached us and explained that Anu had been kidnapped by these sea wolves. She apologized for her uselessness, not even being able to protect her. This dragon must think he's usually a nobody. It doesn't matter where she is, with the mercenaries or with him. She always ruins everything. However, Sun Yan replied that she had done everything she could. It was he who had failed to protect them. Selena's sympathy increased by 50 points. Current sympathy level, 20. The system congratulated the host on successfully gaining the character's trust. Sympathy reached the first level and unlocked new abilities. He unlocked a new ability called Tears of the Wise and received 2,000 points. Sun Yan wanted to return the first level horn and the first level dragon breath supply. The return was complete. 2,000 points were retained. The revived modifications caused great pain. Therefore, she asked her master to prepare himself, as there would be painful sensations in his throat. Selena noticed that he had vomited blood. In fact, he was fine. He also asked Hippocleus to take him to the Ettercap's nest. He dared to visit the rare character of the main hero, so he probably no longer wants to live in this world. Here, under the silver moon, somewhere in the wilderness. Here, the Ettercaps raise their spiders. Ahead is their cave, where they used to retreat after their raids. Then they immediately speed up and attack them. There is no time to linger now. As soon as he took off, he suddenly got caught in a web. He couldn't even move there. Fortunately, he managed to get out of the web. After that, Sun Yan used his dragon breath. The system reported that the master had killed 57 huge spiders. 312 points were earned. The nest of the Ettercaps. The main character flew in and asked where they had taken the lowly elf. A minute later, he beat the creature to death. He went deeper into the cave. And there, wanting to show off in front of Anna and Sun Yan, who had turned back into a human, he saw her. She was wrapped in a web. Surprisingly, she immediately recognized the Dragon Lord. She could smell the Dragon Lord. He reached out to free her. Anna thanked the Dragon Lord for coming to save her. After all, she had to admit that he was very handsome in human form. Sun Yan replied that she was very important to him, so he had to save her. Anna Hathaway's sympathy level was up by 100. The current level was 200 friends. The system congratulated the host on reaching the second level of sympathy. He gained a new ability called Mid-Level Absorption. New abilities can be consolidated. He also unlocked a new ability called Wisdom Traces and received 2,000 points. Then the system congratulated him again on receiving 3,000 points. Based on regular physical condition, absorbing prey restores strength and accelerates growth regardless of age. He was delighted to have earned so many points. No wonder she was SSS level. Sun Yan would earn more by interacting with her and killing monsters. However, he was also curious how she knew that it was the same dragon. It doesn't matter what the dragon looks like because she always recognizes him at first glance. On the way home, he gave her a potion to restore her strength, as well as an herbal tincture that she must not forget to drink. His affection for her gradually grew, but the guy didn't understand why this affection was growing so slowly now. Selena mentioned that it wasn't syrup for him. It had to be taken with food. As soon as he heard about the syrup, he suddenly remembered that among his trophies there must be some fruit to sweeten the medicine. There he noticed a strange box. After he opened the box, he saw that there was a girl tied up inside. Her full name was Evelyn, 17 years old, human, in a state of terror, fear, and hypoxia. Water magic abilities, sympathy level -50, experiencing fear. Selena immediately stopped him and asked what he was doing. She hit him and called him a perverted freak. Anna approached them and also asked if something had happened. Selena immediately covered her eyes, saying that this was not a sight for children. Sunyan replied that he hadn't done anything, so he didn't understand why she had hit him. And where were they looking? If they didn't believe him, they should just ask her. As soon as her mouth was free, she immediately began to curse those vile bastards. That is, the gangsters. The girl demanded that they untie her immediately. Selena tried to calm her down and cover her. Now everything is fine. Even Anna began to say that it was all because of Mr. Dragon. Sunyan didn't understand what kind of injustice this was. He even asked the dog how the box got there. Lepokli replied that the owner had allowed him to drag the box onto the cart. He didn't even know what was inside. At the same time, a huge force hung over the world. The system sent a notification that the game had begun. All living creatures in this world would be half-digitized. All the chosen creatures that were killed would level up. All the chosen ones' belongings would be stored in the newbie village. Quests began to be created and the newbie village began to generate. According to estimates, he would arrive there in 3 days. The current number of points was 4,452. The main character immediately asked what this was all about. Selena named the nickname above his head, a vulgar, perverted dragon. Sunyan began to say that he wasn't like that at all. He mentally asked the system who the chosen one was and what kind of village for newbies it was. Could he really have ended up in a game? The world in which the master currently finds himself is real, but some of the existing effects will only be half-game related. For example, the fate of the party in this world. If the master cannot eliminate the players, the consequences will be catastrophic. What kind of joke was this? A player was someone who played and could be resurrected in the game, and he had never heard of any country releasing a game so realistic that it could make the world half a game. Those who arrive from the aquamarine planet. This measure has a highly developed gaming industry, similar to the main character's home planet. It's like some kind of parallel worlds. It's better for him not to worry now, otherwise he'll look like some kind of peasant. But even if that's the case, you can't just destroy the players, because they'll come back to life. The system reported that players can be resurrected, but each new resurrection doubles their time. For example, the first resurrection lasts 5 seconds, the second lasts 10 seconds, and the third lasts 20 seconds. And so on until the maximum allowed time is reached. And if a player returns after a year of waiting, having died, they will have to wait 2 years. But then, looking at himself from the perspective of a constant level increase, he will want only one thing: not to die. And the players will grow weaker. Besides, it's not that difficult. He is a dragon, after all, even if he has no reputation right now. But only then did he learn from the system that NPS cannot be resurrected. What kind of idiot made these rules? Players can resurrect endlessly, while NPS must sacrifice their lives. It's unfair. You could see it that way. But by becoming a defensive country at the start, they are stronger than other players. If you look at the balance of power, there is no imbalance. They just have different weights. Moreover, there is only one way to lose: to be destroyed. This world has simply been turned into a game. They didn't even ask the people whose lives they put on the line. They are playing with human destinies. Suddenly he turned back. As it turned out, the potion's effect had worn off. And he hadn't done anything yet. He had wasted 6 bottles of potion for nothing. Anna asked him not to be angry, because they had already found out everything. It was all the work of bandits, so the gentleman should not blame him. Sunyan replied that he had not shared the potion for that reason. Only then did he notice that her clothes had changed. Anna replied that her clothes were completely worn out, and Selena had found some clothes in one of the boxes. That's what she had changed into. After that, he shouted Selena's name. How could he not have noticed her strange fetishes before? Selena replied that it was a disguise. She was in Class A, he wouldn't get many points. But even if he didn't earn any points, Evelyn could stay as a pet. He liked it, but it was against the rules. So he told them to change quickly. In this world, he was the only one who understood what this game was. Since fate had allowed him to learn the truth, it had hinted that he could use this information to oppose the players. And no rest for him. He wanted to find out how strong all the monsters nearby were. It would be better for Apocleus to make a simple map, because he wanted to gather them all in one place. He accepted his master's order. The main character decided to look at the information about himself in the system window. He was a black dragon at level 30. His abilities included various types of dragon breath, primitive hunting, dragon power, absorption, and wise man's tears. A note said that all 5 characteristics could be increased outside of combat, during training to reach a new level. If the inhabitants of this world kill each other, they will not gain experience. It is necessary to kill the players, only they have no restrictions. There are many more inhabitants, but players have more opportunities to level up. This is an unequal struggle for resources. Both sides force players and inhabitants to fight not for life, but to the death. The fact that stats increase during training could be a weakness. He called Hawk over to him. Hawk approached him and asked the Great Master how he could serve him. The dragon decided to check his information window. He was at level 4. He could set traps, cave modeling, ore mining, garbage collection, howling, jumping strikes, and feigned death. He was too weak. Sunyan said that now he would run around the cave for half an hour without stopping, and if he dared to stop, the dragon would devour him. After that, he immediately began his training. After those laps, he was barely alive, but he managed to crawl to the Great Master. Not bad. It seems that training really does improve performance. The girls, who had finally changed their clothes, came to him. He had already begun to fantasize about the girls inviting the boys to train with them. That's actually a good idea. That way, they'll bring him 100 of them. This is a map of the Silver Forest made by the previous chief. Each tribe has its own chief. He ordered Apocleus to gather all the Soglavs. They all have to carry all the weapons. Silver Forest, Chief of the Beast Kings, 3rd level. The leader of the Boar Warriors, 7th level. The leader of the Boar Spearmen, 9th level. Sunyan tried to calm them down, saying that he would not eat them. He learned that this world was on the brink of crisis, so they needed to unite. The Silver Forest is their home. They must gather all their weapons and fight back. They must drive away their enemies. The Master's speech is being verified. The passive ability of the Wise Men's Tears has been activated. The beasts recognized that he was speaking the truth. They are all one family. Now it is clear how to use these tears. Isn't this the speech of the main character? Whatever the main character says, everyone will believe him. The rabbit asked the great dragon how they should fight their enemies since they are so weak. That's a pretty good question. To do that, they must undergo devilish training. They need to hurt faster because they only have 500 laps left. Everyone trained hard, and they knocked down trees. They'll see who comes out on top in this game. Sunyan was determined to be the winner. Aquamarine Planet. Suddenly, a huge hourglass appeared before them. The game of this world's team began. Daniel Igeson. He didn't understand what was happening to his body. The system congratulated the player on being chosen. The system wished him luck in invading another world. The time limit was 10 years. Brenny Churton. The first rule of the game. Those who start the game cannot leave it until they die. After death, players can wait for resurrection in the main square. The second rule of the game. Players earn aggression points for completing quests and surviving for a long time. Aggression points can be exchanged for items and everything necessary for survival. They can also be used to buy resurrection time. Aggression points can be exchanged. The third rule of the game. Chests appear randomly in the game world. Inside the chest are aggression points, equipment, and rewards for combat. Rewards can be exchanged. Fourth rule of the game. The resurrection time for the first time is 5 seconds. Each new resurrection time is doubled. Fifth rule of the game. Time in the game goes 10 times faster. The system asks them to try to survive. If they make it to the main square, they will die for real. The time countdown has begun. Silver Forest. He reported to his master that the last training session had yielded noticeable results. The nearby gnomes and black-beaked manas had also joined their ranks and were currently undergoing training. After all, many system windows appeared in his eyes, indicating that players were arriving. The newbie village is complete. The first rule. Upon arrival, the territory that players can occupy is limited. Automatic protection of the newbie village lasts for 1 week. Second rule. During the protection of the newbie village, all game characters who enter the village will be teleported away. Their memories of the village will be erased. Third rule. Chests will appear in the world. The first newbie village, Sakura, has already appeared near the Silver Forest on the Mulligan Plain. A chest appeared behind it. Does he really have to guard this chest himself? But even inside the chest, it was empty. This chest may be the only way to get rewards. But he can only get rewards if the player opens the chest. Not only could he not be human, but he also had to guard this damn chest. He ordered the Grey Wolf, the Leather Snake, and everyone else to bring all the chests they found in the forest here. Apocleus must bring here all the bombs and poison gas traps they have made. He asked the system if it had something like a world map. The system reported that the world map had been updated after the players arrived. 10 system points are required to unlock it. The world map was unlocked. Updating in progress. The map showed the newbie village as a base. Indeed, a battle is not the same as a war. Although the players are weak at the beginning, they have 7 whole days during which they can train in peace. But based on years of gaming experience, newbies have a weakness that will be their downfall. Curiosity. Apocleus reported to his master that all the chests were here. The dragon ordered all the chests to be opened, and traps with poison gas, bombs, and other poisonous items to be laid out. They should be hidden somewhere nearby in the bushes. They should hide them well, but not too well. The wolf asked his master why all this was necessary. He had friends here whom he wanted to give a wonderful gift. Those bastards wanted to force him to guard the chests. They'll pay for this, but why did he laugh like a villain? The Mulligan Plain. Daniel Igeson. A new task has appeared. You need to build a house. You can use 100 pieces of wood and 100 pieces of stone. World map, forum, create a team, adjust the 5 senses, task system. There is no button to exit the profile. This is real. There is a world that has been turned into a game. Dragon's Lair. Selena is practicing magic. Evelyn thought she must be angry. Still, she ran away with Blythe, and that jerk sold her to the gangsters to save himself. It's good that she won't see him again. Otherwise, she would kill him with her own hands. Such fragile girls, and they all give him the creeps. He didn't understand how she could have such a fierce look in her eyes. Anna would never become like them. She needed to take her medicine now to restore her health. She thanked the Dragon Lord for that. Hippocleus told his master that the heroes had come out of their strange basket. It seemed that no one could resist the temptation to explore a new world, the Mulligan Plains. The man with the sword would never have thought that it was so easy to level up. He built a room and already reached level 5. Besides, this village was boring. Perhaps there were some artifacts in the Silver Forest. It would be nice to kill a couple of small monsters to get some practice. However, leaving the village is very dangerous. It's better not to leave. They took him with them because they liked him. A week would pass, so he didn't understand how this guy would survive alone. He would just ask the others to take him with them. And then they definitely wouldn't agree to it. If they needed bait, they would just use his bones. He noticed that there was a chest here. They were immediately delighted when they also saw the chest with the treasure. However, a huge snake emerged from the chest, and in the next chest there was an explosion. Another one was full of bees. Even the chest contained some useless junk. He looked back and couldn't understand where the other two had run off to. His whole body was shaking because he also didn't understand where the guys had gone. Suddenly, a huge dragon appeared in front of him. The system announced that the player had been killed. Users earned 10 points. Sun Yan couldn't believe that this weakling had died of fear. As soon as he turned around, he saw the dragon. A dog approached him and told the man to leave. Sun Yan asked who he was and why he had entered his territory. The man explained that they were travelers who had come here for the first time. The dragon demanded that he not lie to him. He had better be careful because he had such a fragile skull. They were just passing by and didn't even think of disturbing the dragon's peace. In that case, he didn't even need to think about it. He would drink some speed potion, use geomancy or something like that, and run away from there. He immediately remembered that speed potions were, of course, sold in the store. That way he could escape from the dragon. Yes, that was 200 aggression points deducted. The dog reported that the guy had escaped. Of course, he knew that because he had let him escape. 7 days would be enough for the players to build a prison for themselves. What bad luck. There wasn't even anything useful in that damn chest. And suddenly, a silver chest appeared before his eyes. Free stuff. The system sent a notification that he didn't have the key to the chest. To open the silver chest, you need a silver key, which can be purchased for 1,000 aggression points. He thought it was too expensive. Based on past games, the key could drop when killing monsters guarding treasures. There he saw the leader of the 3rd level Beast Kings. He justified himself as soon as he saw this rabbit with such a low level. This is too easy. If he quickly kills this rabbit, the key will definitely be in his pocket, and everything in the chest will become his property. This little rabbit needs to die, but things didn't turn out the way he expected. Does this puppy really think he can steal the chest? There's no way a 3rd level rabbit could have that kind of strength. It's just impossible. What should he do now? Maybe he should call for help. The rabbit said to open the chest, and then he would consider letting the man go. In that case, he would open it. He had purchased the key for 1,000 points. Inside was a bomb, which exploded immediately. The system congratulated him on completing the task of building the building. Thanks to this, 500 aggression points were processed. It was her dream house. The system congratulated him on building the tower, for which he earned 1,000 aggression points, and also for building the fortress wall, for which he earned 500 aggression points. The same guy from the forest ran over. Daniel asked him what had happened. He replied that everything was lost. As soon as Daniel asked what was going on, the guy suddenly shouted that there was a dragon. They had to run away quickly. He clearly didn't expect a dragon to be here. The others thought that this idiot had simply been stunned by fear. It sounds like a joke, because this is a village of newbies. But it was true. There was a dragon in the forest. Gary was gone. Only thanks to a speed potion was he able to escape. If the dragon really existed, as soon as the protection for the newcomers was removed, they would all be doomed. They would build another tower and a fortress wall using wood and stones from Togo's house. With their help, they would be able to fight off the dragon. Why should they do that? It's her home. Selena and Evelyn were bored. Sunian asked what was wrong with them. Selena was sulking because of her failure in magic, and Evelyn was upset because she wanted to kill someone. It was probably just a joke. They had really had a bad influence on Anna. He saw a message from the system saying that his relative had killed a player, for which he received 10 points. Then Hippocleus arrived. They brought all these chests. After they opened them, it turned out that there was so much stuff inside. A roasted leg of mountain sheep with a golden crust. A book with water spells and an ice spike. And there was also a drawing of a flamethrower tower. But then the system reported that insufficient conditions had been met, so the drawing could not be used. What kind of conditions are these? Perhaps the players know something about this. Selena immediately noticed the book with water spells. She even asked the main character to give her the book. In the end, the main character agreed. Selena even thought he had a crush on her. In any case, she would go read it. You have to put up with these remarks, because she's a rare character. Selena suddenly remembered and thanked him for the book. 20 points were added to her likability. The only way to the dragon's lair. The system reported that the analysis of the open area was complete. The analysis of the fire tower blueprint was complete. The blueprint was purple, so it could be used 5 times. He had to determine where to build the tower. It turns out that it can only be used outdoors, and it's a building block in the game. All that's left is to find a suitable location. To build a flamethrower tower, you need 10 stones, 2 pieces of wood, 20 workers, and 5 kilograms of food. Construction time is 12 hours. Different workers are possible. People increase KD by 20%. Psychedelics increase defense by 20%. Goblins increase mutation frequency by 20%. Gnomes increase all building characteristics by 10%. The owner must supply the workers himself. After the workers arrive at the site, construction begins automatically. After the construction work is completed, the workers return with their memories erased, and he must supply the workers himself. Hippocles swore with his life to follow his master. That is why he does so. The dragon ordered him to bring 20 strong Siglavians to help build a flame-throwing tower. Suddenly, he fell right in front of the dragon. Therefore, Sunien suggested that they do everything tomorrow. He even thought about how Anna must be resting now. It was true. Selena spoke in her sleep about how she was an honorable mogul. And Evelyn said that she would cut him up and feed him to the pigs. And suddenly he heard Anna's voice saying something about her parents. There was also a demon in her dream. If the encyclopedia is correct, demons were destroyed 1,500 years ago. It is unclear how demons can exist now. Suddenly she opened her eyes. The entire village was on fire. She watched with her own eyes as her parents were killed by demons. As soon as she uttered the words Mom and Dad, her mouth was covered, and she was told to be quiet. She was with Anna. The girl put her in a closet and told her not to come out under any circumstances. But right before her eyes, her sister died. The demon smiled at little Anna and frightened her. Anna demanded that he not come near her. At that moment, her powers awakened. She used these powers to get rid of the demons. It seems like Anna is having a nightmare. For several days he gave her herbal tinctures and potions, and finally her life bar turned green. No matter what medicine he gave her, it still showed that she would only live for 63 days. There were no signs of recovery. Could it be due to heart failure? And then she woke up. Anna immediately attacked the dragon. The dragon was thrown straight into the wall. The blow was really painful. This woke Selena and Evelyn. Selena immediately asked if he had at least seen what time it was, and what he was doing here. He must have been up to something. Evelyn was curious to know what the noises were. The dragon reported that Anna was missing. The girls flew on the dragon, and also noticed that someone was there. Anna ran deep into the swamp. It was surprising that her strip was full, even though it was red. And this was the Swamp Lord, the crocodile with a stone helmet. He was at level 15, stage 2, and it looked like he was being beaten by his bitches. Finally, she noticed the Dragon Lord. After that, Anna began to fall. The crocodile tried to eat her, but Sunian intervened. Evelyn noticed that she had lost consciousness. At that moment, the crocodile attacked from ambush. The dragon had already started barking at this bastard. Then they fell into the water. This crocodile had thick skin, and in the swamp, the dragon's breath would definitely not be able to be used to its full power. He reported to the system that he wanted to change the modification to a high level of scale strength, high-level reinforced claws and fangs, as well as an underwater breathing bladder. The system replied that these modifications would cost 10,000 points. Therefore, it suggested taking out a loan. He agreed. She also pointed out that the interest rate was 50%. He was tired of listening to all this nonsense. Just activate it. It is also worth noting that during the modification, she may experience sharp pain. It was indeed very painful. The current number of points is minus 9,300. Anna's sympathy level is 220, Selena's is 50, and Evelyn's is minus 40. Selena tried to approach the dragon because she wanted to know if it was still alive. Does this mean that she no longer has to return the book with the combined spells? At that moment, the main character flew out together with the crocodile. He pushed the crocodile with his tail. After that, he simply decided to burn it so that it would finally die. Selena smelled something very pleasant, roasted crocodile. It looked so appetizing that they couldn't resist. All three of them ate very well. Tima reported that the owner had killed the crocodile with a fireplace helmet. He received 60 system points and 1 magic core. He absorbed the crocodile's stone helmet, and his health recovery speed increased. A low-level elemental core. Could this evil creature grab the cores and then return? The bar returned to what it was at the beginning. She was seriously ill and weak. She had 24 hours left to live. He even asked the system if it knew what illness Anna had. Unfortunately, this system does not have the function of examining patients instead of humans. It was essential to find out what illness Anna had and why she had gone mad. And then there was this destructive force that emanated from her. A cleric was needed. He asked Selena if she knew of any powerful clerics in the area. In fact, the girl had no idea. When she was with the mercenaries, they always bought potions. Who knows, Evelyn? This cleric lives in the kingdom of Andreus. But the dragon will most likely be killed if it approaches the city walls in its current state. After all, hunters are all over the city looking for it. That's true. It's a good thing he has 6 bottles of transformation potions left. That should be enough for half a day. If he can make it in time, there shouldn't be any problems. In fact, it doesn't matter if it's a person or a monster. All men are selfish. As soon as a problem arises, they will abandon you without hesitation. Then she heard someone ask why she was standing there frozen. Let her jump in. Evelyn's sympathy increased by 40 points. Current level, 0. The system congratulated the owner as sympathy had reached the first level, and he received 300 points. He also noticed that sympathy had increased. Could it be because she saw him as so brave in the heat of battle? But why so few points? He had agreed with the system about skills. Could she have already forgotten everything? Although a special character of level A must reach level 2 to obtain new skills. 350 points were deducted for the loan. 9,000 points remained to be returned. Selena immediately saw that he had started vomiting blood and asked what was wrong with him. Sun Yan replied that it was nothing. It was strange that he still had to pay off a loan in this world. The city walls of Andreus. The royal city. Everyone claimed that the conscientious Nightblade was a real handsome man. They say that he single-handedly defeated a gang of whirlwinds and beheaded their leader, and that he and the great wizard Maysont had led a campaign against an evil dragon. The main character was there too, and he was the one who dealt with the gang. That bastard stole someone else's glory and even stole the dragon's skull. If he hadn't been busy, he would have smashed his head in right away. Evelyn said that the cleric's name was Rob. His hut was in the western part of the city, and there was a flowering tree on the door. She would not go with them to the city. He knocked immediately and wanted to know if the cleric Rob was there. No one had opened the door yet. Perhaps the old man simply hadn't heard, so he simply decided to enter by kicking the door. There was the doctor's apprentice, Varvara. He apologized for barging in and said they were looking for the cleric Rob. However, it was no big deal, but he still had to pay 50 silver coins for the broken door. Varvara also gave her name. The girl asked why they needed a cleric. Sun Yan replied that it was for medical treatment. Unfortunately, because the cleric was unable to cure the prince, he had gone on a journey. Sun Yan asked if she knew where he had gone or when he would return. It is still unknown. At that moment, she noticed the lower elf in his arms. The ears of this cute little thing were very soft. Varvara immediately knew that she was sick and would soon die. Sun Yan did not expect her to be a cleric as well. In fact, she was only learning, but she could examine her. Could she really diagnose the illness? Last night, Anna suddenly went berserk and then lost consciousness. Varvara said to put her on the table. After that, she began to conduct a preliminary examination. The main character even wondered if all clerics conducted examinations this way. Now it was clear why the prince's illness had not been cured. Finally, she found something. This girl is cursed. The source of the curse is in her heart, and other illnesses are caused by the curse. It is a very powerful curse that takes away all the strength of the cursed. It drives people mad. So if she weakens, she will go mad. And if she goes mad, she will lose her health. It's all very logical, actually. Sun Yan asked if she could cure her. Varvara apologized, but it was impossible. She can only stabilize her for a while. However, he also needs to know something. If she has resistance, her body will be destroyed. There are 2 ways to remove the curse. One could kill the one who cast the curse, or remove the vessel and replace the cursed heart. The best option was a dragon's heart. This girl can sniff everything out. She's like a dog. If she's talking about a dragon's heart, it's very difficult to find. That's why he wanted to find another, but equally effective method. In that case, you can dip it in the legendary Elven Spring. That should delay the curse's effect on the spring, which dried up long ago. Or go north to the Winter Empire. There is a high cleric there who has mastered the art of purification. But the patient doesn't have much time left. Then she remembered that she could find a witch, who always had a bunch of strange ways of healing. But they are very difficult to find. Barbara only knows that they have been seen in Santolist. Let her just magically heal Anna, and then they would discuss what to do next. Varvara asked him to wait a moment, then began leafing through a book. Sunian asked her what she was doing. It was a book called Magic Healing for Dummies. It's worth relaxing, because everyone is nervous the first time. Why does the main character feel like she's talking about herself here? After that, Varvara began to treat her. Fortunately, Anna was able to open her eyes. He was immediately delighted when he saw her. She asked the Dragon Lord where they were. The guy replied that they were in the royal city. She suddenly fainted, and he carried her to the cleric. Of course, she heard the word dragon. And then Varvara realized that she had not been mistaken. He really was a dragon. Seeing this elf, everything now made sense. This was the very dragon who had recently been hunted down. Sunian asked what had happened to Togo. Barbara had no intention of turning them in. After all, she was a cleric and had promised to heal all those in need. She was currently studying how to heal the body. Even without magic, it was possible to successfully transplant a heart. Plus, he could get a 20% discount. She is very much like a modern surgeon. The main character praised her. But first, she must prepare herself. He and the patient will also prepare for the heart transplant. As soon as she asked about the transplant, her mouth was suddenly covered. While the crazy woman was busy, they simply decided to leave. She even skimmed through the treatment for beginners. Of course, they won't think anything about this transplant. The city walls. The guy asked if she was feeling okay. Anna asked if her illness was incurable. It was just a simple curse. He even cursed by his dragon name that she would definitely recover. The Dragon Lord even swore an oath. Anna thanked him for that. Anna's sympathy rose 50 points. Her current level was 250. He gave Anna his word, but he must not sacrifice his health to save her. She should relax, because he would definitely find a way to lift the curse. A rare NPS was detected. She was calling the dragon. The system asked if he wanted to respond. It was surprising that a rare NPS was calling him. Santolist, Sanctuary. She asked the great goddess to hear her prayers. However, she was unsuccessful again. There was no answer. Although he really wanted to go and see, he had more important things to do. Behind the dragon's lair. Construction of a flamethrower tower. Apocleus reported to his master that the tower had been built. They did it quickly after all. They definitely have a talent for construction. If they continued at the same pace, they would be able to quickly build the remaining 4 towers. He decided to look at the information window for the flamethrower tower. First level. Range, 30 kilometers. Self-aiming, 1 arrow every 10 seconds. With manual aiming, 1 arrow per second is the fastest option. It depends on the number of soldiers. In reality, 1 arrow every 10 seconds is too slow. First, he needed to check the tower's power. He ordered them to aim at the rock. After that, Apocleus opened fire. The rock was destroyed, and they call this little thing a regular fire arrow. The guy wondered if it was a simplified version of a rocket. No wonder it's so slow. Such a huge kairat. If the builders are different, then the effects should also be different. He doesn't even know if this is true for soldiers. Sunian ordered 20 Beast Kings to be brought, because he wanted to conduct an experiment. Flamethrower tower. Bugs Bunny must test the tower with his subordinates. There are 20 soldiers in the tower. Since the soldiers are not standard, there will be changes in the flamethrower tower. The system asked if he should continue. Of course, continue. His guess was correct. So, depending on the abilities of the relatives, there will be different changes. With these towers, defending the cave would be no problem. All that remained was to increase the speed and range. He asked the system what was needed to upgrade the tower. The system noted that 10 magic cores from 3rd stage fire monsters were needed. Last time, the main character had killed a stone-helmeted crocodile in the swamps near the Silver Forest. He had obtained a lower stage core then. It seemed difficult to find so many 3rd stage monsters in the Silver Forest. Perhaps there are more of them in the mountains. We'll have to visit the mountains. Anna informed the Dragon Lord that Selena and Evelyn had gotten into a fight. He immediately began fantasizing about the fight, and even how Evelyn addressed him, saying that it hurt so much. However, Selena replied that she had started it. He was completely immersed in these thoughts. She tried to pull him out of it, saying that if he didn't stop them right now, they would blow up the cave. This clearly couldn't be allowed to happen. It dawned on him that they were both witches. How could he have forgotten that? Sunyan tried to calm them down, saying that if they wanted to fight, they should get out of there. However, seeing that no one was paying attention to him, he had to take his form. Anna said that they had quarreled over a book of water spells. The exercise was difficult, but Evelyn just glanced at it, and then they fought. The dragon asked how they could be so ashamed to fight over such trivial matters. In this territory, they had to obey the owner, namely him. Next time, they shouldn't just fight hand to hand and not use magic. They simply turned away from each other in a show of defiance. Night fell. Selena didn't understand why she couldn't do it. She wasn't even armless. While she was hitting the tree, all the stones fell down on the main character's head. Sunyan peeked out of the cave and told her to stop. Selena asked if he wasn't the one who said to fight in the street. They just needed to argue. They didn't have to run around at night and hit trees. She obviously didn't want to let people sleep. In reality, Selena felt like a nobody. The main character replied that if she couldn't follow the beaten path, she should find her own. He thought that since she was so cruel, it would be best for her to try her hand at black magic. Selena replied that black magic was not for people. That kind of magic would definitely not suit her. The dragon whispered that for some reason, she didn't seem like other people. Still, she thanked him for keeping her company. 50 points were added to her sympathy rating. The current level was 100, somewhere in the Silver Forest. They were watching the animal rabbits. These rabbits all seemed kind of fat to them. One bite, and the fat would flow. The girl with pigtails even wanted to take the gold chain that was around his neck. It was very beautiful. However, the other girl wondered how such large rabbits had come to live in the forest. She even wondered if these rabbits usually ate so well and wore chains. In any case, it didn't matter. Even these damn rabbits couldn't defeat the harpies. Rumor has it that there is a dragon in this part of the forest, so we need to be careful. They attack on the count of 3. After the countdown ended, they immediately flew toward the rabbits. The rabbits should already be jumping into their stomachs. Of course, the rabbits weren't going to give up that easily. Their bodies underwent a transformation. The harpies clearly didn't expect this turn of events. It was clear that they couldn't stand up to such opponents. Therefore, she gave the order for everyone to leave. However, a web suddenly appeared above them, so now they couldn't even fly away. They were dragged into the dragon's lair. So it was them who wanted to attack the main character's relatives. The girl began to justify herself to the great dragon, saying that they did not want to hurt him. They just wanted to eat. A few days ago, a flock of Periton came from the thick part of the forest and took their cave. They took the mountain rams and killed the harpies' tribeswomen. On the other side, there seemed to be a village of newcomers. She begged the Dragon Lord to help them return home and rescue their tribe. As it turned out, her name was Hannah, and she was the leader of the harpies. Hannah even swore that she would bring her tribe under his wing and sacrifice a whole ram to him. The main character, of course, understands everything, but they really did try to eat the animal kings when they went to the toilet. This harpy named Hannah is pretty good. Plus, she's level 17. Her current likability level is 30. She feels reverence. She's strong at flying and has a sweet voice. Their cunning is well suited for scouts, and their sweet voices can disorient players. Sunyan Waters Pardernak responds to her plea. He also announced that the Harpy tribe is now his family. After that, even her eyes changed. She asked if the Dragon Lord was going to the Silver Forest now. They also wanted to go with him. Sunyan shouted that he was going there to fight. This wasn't a regular picnic, so they weren't going anywhere. Anna just wanted to spend the rest of her time with the Dragon Lord. It didn't matter if it was in battle or somewhere else. Selena also wanted to help him in battle. The same could be said for Evelyn. The main character also noticed that Anna had been clingy lately. Could it be because of her illness? While he was away, if anyone entered the forest, they should do everything as usual. They should put traps or something else in the open chests, but not let them go deep into the forest. After that, they flew to the cave. Those who attacked them were fierce and cunning, so the master must be careful. He shouldn't have brought Anu here after all. It stinks of blood here. Sun Yan understood that it was dangerous to go further, so he asked her to wait for him here. The dragon also ordered the two to stay here to protect Anna. As soon as he entered the depths of the forest, he suddenly saw a group of Periton in the distance. They were all 3rd stage. It turned out that there were so many monsters of this stage in the Silver Forest. No wonder the battered harpies had fled from this cave. Although the dragon was strong, he certainly couldn't withstand so many. In that case, he would simply bring more people next time. However, it was too late now. He had been spotted. The Peritons immediately woke up and began flying around him. Since escape was impossible, he had no choice but to fight. He used his breath and his tail to get rid of these creatures. The system congratulated the owner on receiving 23 third-stage fire cores, as well as 345 system points. It seemed that the sharp ones had accumulated cores inside. How fortunate. The prey was flying right to the hunter. Suddenly, another one jumped out in front of him. However, he spotted it immediately. His current score was minus 8,655. In front of him was a mutated Paraton. Although it was the same stage, the mutated monster had a larger body, and its speed and strength surpassed the existing ones. This opponent would be more difficult. However, the dragon would still try to defeat it. The Paraton appeared right in front of them, ready to attack. It even wounded the dragon. "This bastard is fast." Anna shouted for the dragon to be careful. Paraton even attacked Sunian's wings. Because of this, his wings lost their balance, and he began to fall down. But even so, the main character was able to defeat him using the hair kicks the hawk technique. After that, he burned him with his dragon breath. Anna asked Hannah to fly there quickly. As soon as they landed, Anna jumped up and asked if he was okay, and why was he bleeding. Anna begged the dragon not to die. Sunian immediately cheered up, saying that he wasn't dead, so she shouldn't cry. He was fine, however he was bleeding. The dragon replied that he was just hungry. He would eat and everything would be fine. The system congratulated the master on defeating the mutated monster. As a reward for completing the quest, he was given 500 points and 1 black core. How good it was that there was still absorption. Not only could it speed up recovery, but it could also increase strength with growth. Suddenly, another Paraton attacked Anna, who didn't even realize he was behind her. As soon as the main character saw that it wanted to carry Anna away, he immediately used his breath. Because of this, Paraton let her go, and Anna began to fall. Current score, minus 8,155. She was falling straight into some kind of pond. Still, Anna was glad she was alive. She also felt that the water was so pleasant. It would be nice if Mr. Dragon were still here. Suddenly, she saw a gathering of magic, and immediately told the creature to leave. A silhouette appeared before her, glad that someone had finally found this place. The girl asked who she was. As it turned out, she was the guardian of the great elven spring. She could see that the girl's powers were great, but it seemed that something terrible was limiting them. But tears immediately appeared in her eyes, for she saw her sister before her. She even thought that it was really her sister. But that was not the case. In Anna's memories, she could only take this form. It was better for her to forget her past suffering. Then they kissed. An unknown force enveloped her, and then the girl sank to the bottom. There really was a lot of treasure here. Meanwhile, the main character was also looking for Anna. She surfaced and shouted that she was there. As soon as he arrived, he immediately looked at her information window. Condition: sick. 62 days left to live. Elven power lasts 3 months. Abilities: supreme harmony with water elementals. Supreme harmony with light elementals. Unparalleled beauty. Beautiful figure and fragrance. Skills: water ball spell and light spell. Sunian had no idea how she had managed to obtain all of this. The elven power had not only cancelled all negative effects, but also added so many abilities. The dragon asked what had happened to her. Anna replied that she had simply met her sister. The dragon also wanted to see her. Anna hugged the dragon lord, thinking that he was so worried about her. Sunian replied that of course he was worried. Let all the liars sit on 1,000 needles. Anna Hathaway's sympathy rating increased by 50 points. The current level is 300, infatuation. The system congratulated the host for reaching the 3rd level of sympathy, for which he would receive a higher level absorption. The level of special skills could also be increased immediately. He also received 5,000 system points. Absorbed game can increase growth without increasing age. Different materials can also lead to different effects. For example, by absorbing iron ore, he increases the iron content in his scales. Just as he was rejoicing over all these wonderful points, the system suddenly informed him that his loan had been paid off. Now his debt stands at 3,155. The dragon tried to negotiate with the system to have his loan reset to 0. However, the system replied that this was a violation of the rules, and it was the system itself that told him about the rules. Wasn't the very existence of a dragon a violation of the rules? What would happen if the players found out that he had system files? The system asked the owner not to do anything stupid. If he was not mistaken, then the system was cheating. They all used cheats, so why not have a little more fun? In any case, the system considered that this was not an open book exam. Seeing the host's misfortune, it could change his debt to a step-by-step modification plan. Sunian asked what this was. The system, based on targeted modification of the master, divides the modification plan into time segments. In each segment, payment is made for the cost of part of the modifications. Roughly speaking, it's payment in installments. At least compared to the exploiter Joe, he has a large debt. Sun Yan also wanted to know if there was any interest. The system replied that of course there wasn't. The owner of the knife could use the plan because he had paid part of the debt. He was secretly proud of himself, because this system was still too young to compete with him. Anna asked to see these treasures. He opened one of the chests and saw that it was full of bones. What the hell was this? He turned to Anna so she wouldn't open the chests. However, the girl already had a purple book of water magic spells in front of her, and a purple book of light magic spells. Anna heard him say something, but she couldn't make it out. The dragon replied that everything was fine, so she should continue opening the chests. What a stroke of luck. Why did he think Anna had the luck of a main character? He even asked the system if it was sure that Anna wasn't the main character. The system tried to calm its master down. Anna called the dragon over because she wanted to know what it was. A third-level fire core fell out of the chest, but how could he remain calm? He had risked his life to obtain the cores, and she just opened the chest. It seemed like he was just a loser. The system mentioned that he had always been the master. He immediately noticed this damn system. The system immediately replied that there was a system in his body. The owner just needed to follow the rules, and he would surely become a great hero. Or, to be more precise, a great dragon. There are a lot of strange things here. If he had been in an internet cafe at the beginning, the water would have gotten on the wires of the girl sitting next to him, and she would have died. And it would have been possible to pierce the body of the dying Anna. But there is another dying dragon next to her. Then it would be easy to get his heart, because all you would need to do is remove all the buffs. The system asked the host not to try to guess, but to simply believe in himself. He is at the heart of the world at the end of the universe. Does she really mean that if all the items in the store are women's, it's for Togo to believe in himself? The system thought the master was speaking the truth. Credit cancellation is possible. Current points, 0. What a surprise. The dragon also noticed that a harpy had flown there. She thanked the owner for saving all her fellow harpies. Hannah also carried him to his head, whose defense she had promised. He knows that. Hannah must go ahead, and he and Anna will leave soon. He had always claimed that there was a real dragon in the Silver Forest. Of course, no one believed him. You couldn't even find a rabbit in that Silver Forest. He was probably just scared of the trees. On top of that, he destroyed the girl's house to build his stupid tower. But he mentioned that Gary and Chelsea hadn't returned. How were they going to explain their disappearance? Since they had seen the treasure, they hadn't come back. Or maybe those two idiots had simply died of fear. He tried to calm everyone down, because they really needed to search for them. 1,000 people would go with him into the forest to check everything out. Since they were all laughing at him and didn't believe him, they would all just die there. He reread the advanced absorption skills. Absorbed game can increase growth without increasing age. Different materials can also lead to different effects. For example, by absorbing iron ore, he increases the iron content in his scales. Now it seems like the main character can level up. This is definitely going to be interesting. If iron ore is useful, then stone should be too. However, this stone tasted disgusting, completely bland. The system responded that 537 grams of bedrock had been absorbed. The rock strengthens the scales by 0.0001%. The body becomes 0.0002% more fossilized. Speed will decrease by 0.0005%. The body will petrify and speed will decrease. It seems like it doesn't need to eat everything that comes its way. Now I understand how high-level absorption works. Now I need to check the effects of different types. 36 grams of gold were absorbed. The rock will strengthen the scales by 0.0008%. Fire resistance increased by 0.000012%. 36 grams of silver were absorbed. The breed will strengthen the scales by 0.000008%. Resistance to rose increased by 0.000012%. One mountain wolf was consumed. Hunger time increased by 0.0002%. Because he ate so much, he even bit his tongue, which was extremely painful. 50 grams of black dragon meat was consumed. The purity of the dragon genes belonging to Corn Narid Water's Parternak has been increased. Who is this Corn? Could he be the head of the dragons? What's more, they are related. If he is a male, then he must be his great-great-great-great-grandfather. If he is a female, then he is his great-great-great-great-grandmother. The first stage of the experiments has been completed. Only the gold and silver ores have no side effects. Both can strengthen the scales. Gold increases resistance to fire and silver to poisons. It's good that there are silver mines developed by the Soglads near the lair, but there isn't much gold. Later, when he has the opportunity, he decides to go to the kingdom of humans to take a look at their treasure. If he can defeat them, he will swallow it in front of everyone. If not, then he can swallow it and run away. It's a brilliant plan. Anna showed everything she found in the chests. She doesn't even know if it's useful. This girl is too lucky. The dragon's lair. As their master had ordered, they spent several days in the forest quietly watching the heroes' movements. They opened the chests, refilled them, and hid them in the forest. They did a good job. However, the dragon hoped that they hadn't put any valuable items in the chests. The master need not worry. It's just fried intestines with stuffing. They will entertain the heroes well. He never thought that Iphicles was such a pervert. The harpy informed the master that there was movement near the edge of the silver forest. Finally, they've arrived. Apparently the players can't sit still. They're ready to take the bait. The main hero ordered Epocleus and the beastmen to send all the fighters to the flamethrower tower. Hey Shuiman must make sure that the Kuruzme prepare traps for the ambush, and the gnomes and boar spearmen must be ready for the attack. All of them accepted their master's orders. Let the game begin with these players. Silver Forest. And we shouldn't even talk about monsters, because there aren't even any pheasants here. Daniel replied that it would be better to be cautious. If something unnatural happens, there is bound to be evil. And we need to be careful with traps. Well, there are no intelligent monsters here, so it's unclear how they could have set such traps in the first place. Suddenly, snakes grabbed them. They covered their mouths so the girls couldn't scream. Daniel even thought he heard some strange sounds. If he was just going to run away, then he'd better get out of there. And he shouldn't scare the others by telling them that someone was there. At that moment, he was bitten, and the man died. A pack of gnomes attacked the people. Even he didn't understand why simple gnomes were so difficult to defeat. The system congratulated him on his first kill, for which he received 500 aggression points. His level rose to 30. Daniel, of course, noticed how the others began to scatter. He tried to stop them, telling them not to run away and to fight, since they had weapons in their hands. He was too annoyed by these idiots. The gorge outside the dragon's lair. It seemed they hadn't been caught. These monsters are very aggressive. They've chased the people all the way here. Could there be even more terrifying monsters ahead? Another man noticed something long on the rock. He said it was a flamethrower tower. She decided to use a recognition spell. Thanks to this spell, she was able to recognize an ordinary vine and ordinary foliage. This was rather strange, so Daniel told her to check again. And only then did they notice the tower. Seeing that there was an archer tower here, they even thought that a feudal lord lived here. But how was that even possible, since this was the land of monsters? Meanwhile, he had already revived, saying that they had clerics and mages. So there was nothing to fear. Suddenly, a small rocket flew toward him. Everything happened just as he had expected. He couldn't even shoot it down. The arrow was too crude. There was no advantage to it. The rocket opened, and poisonous gas poured out. Daniel told everyone to run, but first to cover their noses and mouths. Then carrots also started flying at them. People began to scatter again and shout for help. How fortunate that he had improved the flamethrower tower, increasing its rate of fire and power. He had also added different types of arrows. Anna asked the Dragon Lord if she should help him with this. She had just learned the water ball and light spells. However, the dragon thought it would be safer for her and Selena to stay in the cave. Daniel ordered the mages to form a shield. The clerics were to begin healing. His strategy worked. All that remained was for them not to be targeted directly, and they could be considered to have withstood the battle. In the sky, they saw a huge black dragon. Only then did the people truly understand that this was no joke. He greeted these insignificant insects in his domain. Daniel sensed that this black dragon had a key aura. So, this coward hadn't lied about the dragon. But he was just a young dragon. This time, Daniel brought with him everyone who could quickly increase their strength. If he killed this black dragon now, he would become the best player in the world. This bunch of trash should prepare for death. Daniel told everyone else to hide because the dragon was attacking. To do this, the main character uses dragon breath. However, they were able to withstand this breath. The dragon flew down to the very bottom, having already used its breath. He became angry. If the people want to survive, they must listen to his command. Let everyone concentrate on a joint attack, covering the soldiers. Then they must retreat for a surprise attack. The man drank a potion of strength. His strength was doubled. After that, he drank a speed potion, which doubled his speed. He did the same with a defense potion. The mages used water and fire spells, but as it happened, the magic didn't hurt him at all. The attack was too weak. In that case, he would simply kill them all at once. At that moment, Daniel attacked him from behind, wanting to kill the dragon. However, the power of light prevented him from attacking normally. Even the others admitted that it was too bright, forcing them to close their eyes. As soon as the main character turned back, Daniel was already lying under the web. The harpies, Anna and Selena, came to help the Dragon Lord. With horror on their faces, the people realized that they had lost this battle. They couldn't defeat these monsters with their strength, so it was better to run away. But who said they could escape so easily? He had no intention of letting them go. The dragon's minions began to catch the people. However, a couple of players were lucky enough to escape to the plain. But for some reason, it became very dark. At that moment, Sunyan burned them. The system congratulated the master on his first victory against the players. As a reward, he received 2,000 points. For each player killed, he receives 5 points. This time, he received 4,995 points for killing the players. He returned to the dragon's cave. Ipokli was happy that they had won, but he also wondered what to do with the remaining prisoner. This cheater had tried to deceive him. The dragon ordered that his limbs be torn off and then he be locked up. The man began to mumble something. Suddenly, he felt as if he had been knocked unconscious. So Sunyan told the system to check his health, and then he passed out. Anna immediately became worried, because she didn't understand what had happened to the Dragon Lord. The current number of points was 6,995. Anna asked the Dragon Lord not to scare her like that. Selena asked if the dragon had been injured. Then Selena asked what she was doing. According to Elven legends, when you put your head on your knee, it's very good for healing. Last time, Mr. Dragon woke up that way. All the girls wanted the Dragon Lord to finally wake up. There were no signs that he had been unconscious for long, and light was emanating from his body. Therefore, he assumed that this was what had been described in the ancestral teachings, the rise of the true dragon. Of course, Evelyn, Selena, and Anna had no idea what he was talking about. It sounded like something grand, so they didn't want to disturb the Dragon Lord. The main character called Ipoklia over because he wanted to tell him something. He was delighted, because his master wanted him to serve him. As soon as he approached his master, the main character told him to leave quickly. Otherwise, he would be eaten. Ipoklia then remembered that his master had ordered him to lead his fellow creatures to set traps around the human village. The gnomes, the Zverokroi, and the Kuruzme must come to protect them. Sunyan said that the dragon's ascent was actually very dangerous, and he probably wouldn't wake up. Anna asked if the dragon really wouldn't wake up. This is a necessary stage in the life of dragons. During hibernation, they gain knowledge and become stronger. Therefore, the children should not worry and wait until he wakes up. Anna would wait for him. She swore she would protect him. Beginner's Village number 6. She thanked her little brother for so many aggression points. She loved him very much. It cannot be deleted. She is the only person who has this information. The dragon has fallen into hibernation and is deep in the Silver Forest. She must hurry to kill him. The girl didn't understand what these stupid messages in the game were. She ordered the system to delete them. They sent the royal army to the Black Dragon, thinking he was spending the night there. The system reported that the story character Maysont entered the territory of the village of newcomers under her control. She has 3 options to choose from. Option 1. Kill Mason and replace the main quest. After completing the quest, she will receive a huge amount of aggression points. Option 2. Help Mason wait for the main quest to be completed. Afterwards, she will receive aggression points depending on her participation. Option 3. Do not participate in the main quest. Now she understood that there was truth in those messages after all. First, she introduced herself to the gracious head of the village. The girl also greeted them here. He has such perfect chest muscles. There is clearly a shortage of girls here. Melinda burst into his room, asking the dear knight to save her. The man asked if she had not spoken to the high wizard Maysont about the basics of magic. That guy beats her, and Melinda doesn't listen to him. She just wanted to kill him. Apparently, the old man has lost all fear to raise his hand against such a beauty. She used a seduction spell to make sure that this dear knight could protect her. Don't worry, Melinda is his woman. He definitely won't let that bastard touch her. So let everyone wait here, and he'll go and kill him. He burst into the room with his foot. Maysont asked Blade what he was doing. The knight told the bastard that in Andreus, violence against girls was punishable by death. Max had no idea what they were talking about, because he hadn't done any of those things. But at that moment, Blade hit him. He should know perfectly well what he had done wrong in his life. If this bastard was looking for death, then he shouldn't blame Maysont for it. He used a lightning spell, but for some reason, he noticed that his spell didn't work. Blade didn't even think that this blow would be so powerful. He just laughed at it. Maysont advised him not to forget that the mage was here on the orders of King Andreus, because he had come here on a punitive expedition against the dragon. Melinda came to them, not understanding how this insignificant man was going to kill the dragon. If the noble knight killed Togo, they would leave together. Maysont called her a pathetic apprentice magician. She couldn't even be considered a magician. As the great magician of the kingdom of Eleland, he would not be seduced by the charms of this insolent girl. Melinda asked if he had drunk a sedative and tea today. She could pour him some more. Then he realized that the damn girl had slipped something into his water. Maysont wanted to kill her too. Bled couldn't stand it when someone insulted Melinda. Melinda stabbed him with a small dagger. She immediately pressed herself against the knight, begging for help because Maysont seemed to want to kill her. At that moment, he stabbed the mage in the body with his sword. The system reported that she had killed the main character, Maysont. All of the slain mage's powers were transferred to her. She would be able to use them for 1 week before the main storyline ended. She replaced Maysont as the main character in the main storyline. After completing the plot, she would receive a huge amount of aggression points and completely inherit Maysont's powers. If she failed, she would receive a small amount of aggression points and lose Maysont's powers. The quest goal was generated. This quest was unique and could not be shared. The goal of the quest was a punitive expedition against the Black Dragon. The Harpy appeared before the dragon and said that a human army was coming. Sunyan and Anna clearly did not expect this. The main character appeared in the inherited realm of dreams, and before him stood Cornwater's Paternak. It seemed that this was his ancestor. Compared to him, Sunyan was tiny. Corn noticed that this little dragon had his own blood flowing through its veins. It was very pure. Therefore, he granted this dragon an incomparable legacy. He must live and drive them out of the ancient lands of the dragons. Now he must leave. Sunyan wanted to ask his ancestor one more question. However, the ancestor threw him away. It was quite painful. They must have been referring to the players. It goes without saying that he would chase them away. He also noticed that he had appeared in a silver forest. Had he awakened from the realm of dreams? And why couldn't he see Anu and the others? This ancestor was truly unique. He simply dragged him here, and now handed him the task of completing his work without a word. It was like a yo-yo, back and forth. He didn't even say what was inside the purple crystal. He shattered the purple crystal. The system reported that a century-old memory of the Dragon Clan had been inherited. He received a special inheritance called a tomb. With a low voice, he will expose all the life forms and landscapes around him. Any camouflage will disappear. With a joyful roar, he will inspire his relatives, and under the effect of the tomb, his relatives will receive a boost to all their abilities. During this time, they will not fear death, and there are no side effects. With the tomb, steel objects can be broken. When the enemy is off guard, armor can be removed and weapons taken. Suddenly, he saw Anna in a new outfit. Sunyan didn't understand how she got there, or why she was dressed like that. Anna came to help her brother with his tomb training. Anna really hoped he would like it. Of course, he liked everything. In that case, they agreed. Until the main character learned everything, he would not leave. As usual, he had already begun to fantasize in his head about how Anna would ask him to go easier on her because she wasn't ready yet. Then the training began. He asked her to wait because he wasn't ready yet. This wasn't the kind of training he had in mind. The main character started calling the system, but it didn't even respond. Sunani better not be lazy because Anna is watching him. Right now, the head of the gnomes and most of the monsters are not in the dragon's lair. Only Anna and the Kuruzmes are left. Even the Zverocroli have all left. But the dragon is still hibernating, so Selena didn't know what to do now. Anna wondered what she would do if she were the Dragon Lord. She tried to imagine herself as the Dragon Commander. She ordered 2 harpies to be sent immediately to find the leader of the Grey Wolf Gnomes. They were to tell him that the dragon's lair had been attacked and help was urgently needed. And let her brother, the Rooster, bring the Beast Kings. They must prepare to defend themselves in the fire tower. In addition, let the Kuruzmes spread out along the road in the Silver Forest and hide. They must not engage in battle with the humans. They need to provoke the humans into attacking them, so that they retreat. How cool she said all that. Now it was their turn to protect the Dragon Lord. Meanwhile, Melinda sensed that someone was about to attack her, so she crouched down. Then the people noticed the enemies climbing the trees. Blade reported that these monsters liked to attack the head, so they had to protect that area. But in reality, they were even aiming behind them. After Togo received the power of the Supreme Mage, her speed and agility increased greatly. All that remained was to finish off the dragon, and then that power would become her own. Blade had no idea that his beloved possessed such powerful magic. Melinda replied that she had only set fire to the monsters that had survived in the forest to speed them up. The gorge behind the dragon's lair. Melinda replied that the front was right ahead, so they should attack. The girl also used a search spell. It was a pretty powerful spell. Blade said with a trembling voice that he was very worried about his beloved. He would protect her. However, Melinda thought that he usually didn't specify. After all, she had underestimated these monsters. They even had firearms. If they continued like this, she would definitely be left without an army, and then she wouldn't be able to kill the dragon. She thanked the dear knight for covering her. She rose high into the sky to use her Fire Blast spell attack. Anna also heard that the army was approaching very quickly. She turned to the Dragon Lord and said that if he could hear her, he should wake up quickly. Even in his sleep, He heard Anna's voice and realized that they were in danger. After that, he used the spell to remove his armor. Another Anna noticed that this brother was so cool. He learned how to remove his armor very quickly. He needed to keep it up. Sunian told her to just leave. She knew how to walk. The dragon himself told Anna that he wouldn't leave until he learned. However, at that very moment, he flew away from her. Sunian could no longer tolerate this pretense. Who would finish this damn training with her? He needed to get out of there. However, Anna appeared in front of him and mentioned that if he wanted to leave, he had to defeat her first. Then they would talk. People tried to break into the dragon's lair to kill the black dragon. Melinda noticed that this was strange. They had already come so far. So why hadn't the black dragon come out yet? Could he have just run away? The girl walked further, and then she noticed a huge black dragon, and he was only level 20. Melinda used a recognition spell. She was immediately delighted when she saw that it was indeed in hibernation. It seemed like they were on her side. Suddenly, a stream of water hit her. Melinda asked who dared to attack her from behind. It was Anna, demanding that the girl leave. Someone had obviously fallen for her beauty. Who would have thought that there were girls in a dragon's lair who were such beautiful elves? How sweet of her. Does she really want to take on Melinda with just a water ball and light spells? Behind Anna, Selena and Evelyn appeared. They also decided to join the battle. However, Melinda was confident that they would not be able to defeat her. She used various spells that caused their clothes to start tearing. Melinda ordered the dragon to be killed. This elf had nowhere to run. When the time came, they would all switch sides and join the humans. Anna apologized to the Dragon Lord for not being able to protect him. Meanwhile, the other Anna was still running away from him in her dream. And at that moment, the main character caught her with his paw. Sunian slapped her and asked if she was done playing. She should finally tell him how to get out of there. Anna begged him not to hit her, as her butt already hurt. The legacy spell was not yet complete. If he wanted to leave, there would be terrible consequences, and the magic would become unstable. Did he really still want to leave? Of course he wanted to leave, so it would be better to get it over with as soon as possible. The dragon hoped that nothing had happened to Anna and the others. If he wanted to know how to get out, he had to come closer. How embarrassing. Was he really going to be kissed like in a fairy tale? However, Anna just slapped him across the face, and then he finally came to his senses. The main character noticed that the soldiers were already in the cave. He immediately began to worry about Anna, behind the dragon's cave. Anna was happy that the Dragon Lord had finally woken up. The girl apologized for not being able to protect the dragon's cave. Sunian licked her, telling her that she had done well. Selena and Evelyn clung to his legs, also happy that the black dragon had finally awakened. They cried because these people had hurt them. Those idiots had enraged him, so he would avenge them. Evelyn and Selena's likability increased by 50 points. Selena pointed to Melinda, saying that she stood out in particular. She had electrocuted the girls and even burned all their clothes. The main character immediately looked at her information window. He saw the player's name and that she was a great mage of the 3rd stage. Melinda couldn't believe her eyes, because this dragon had literally just been in hibernation. Why did it wake up so quickly? According to the message, hibernation was supposed to last at least a week. What kind of unnecessary spam is this? Sunian wondered how she even knew he was in hibernation at the time. One soldier grabbed another because he had thrown away his sword. However, the other soldier replied that it wasn't true, and these pathetic insects dared to invade his territory. After that, the dragon lunged at the soldiers. They began to scatter, screaming for help. However, the dragon could easily crush them without even batting an eye. Blade also suggested that his beloved flee. The dragon had awakened, so now they were definitely no match for him. However, Melinda did not want to let such a good chance slip away. Even if she lost, she would still be resurrected. Evelyn immediately saw the very same blonde man, the trash who had abandoned her and sold her to the gangsters. Melinda used a freezing spell. Anna screamed for the Dragon Lord to be careful, as he was being attacked from behind. However, this very weak magic couldn't even leave a scratch on his scales. So, this girl was the one responsible for everything. This time, Melinda used a wall of fire, and the fire dragon's knife. But even so, all her spells flew right past him. Melinda grabbed her head, not understanding why all her spells had missed. Could his resistance have increased so much after his ascent? How else could she possibly hurt him? Seeing him about to incinerate her with his breath, she put up a dark shield around herself. She had tried so hard and used so many spells. Why had she lost? He touched the dark shield with his claws, and it immediately began to crack. The dragon's anger would be worse than death, because they had touched a sore spot for him. Selena's sympathy level was 150. Evelyn's sympathy level was 50. Only then did she remember another game mechanic where she could retreat by reincarnating herself. He immediately understood what she was going to do, so he used a spell to remove his armor. Her dagger immediately fell to the ground. Melinda asked why he did that. The dragon replied that she wouldn't die so easily. After he dealt with the girl, Anna ran up to him and told him that Evelyn was missing. However, Sunian thought that she would be fine. Soldiers would never be able to defeat someone with magic of that level. Behind the silver forest, Blade ran from flying stones. One stone hit him right in the back. Evelyn slowly approached him, finally able to catch up with this running roof. What a piece of trash. Blade only replied that it hurt and asked the beauty if they even knew each other. Evelyn became even more upset because this individual had forgotten her. After that, Blade remembered that it was her. He thought that those thugs had killed her and left no trace. It turned out that she had been captured by a black dragon. Blade confidently declared that if the girl hadn't followed him, he definitely wouldn't have abandoned her. In any case, Evelyn asked him to come closer to her. It was unclear what was going through the mind of this foolish knight, but he approached her anyway, unaware of her intentions. The man even called her golden. The girl punched him in the face, saying that his death would be golden. Since this girl dared to hit him, then she shouldn't blame him for being rude. He splashed her with some kind of potion. Evelyn realized that it was a suppression spell. What had this scoundrel done? In fact, Blade didn't even think that the things he stole from Maysont would turn out to be so useful. Evelyn began to claim that her sister was a teacher at the Andreus St. Roland Magic Academy. Wasn't he afraid that the academy would take revenge on Evelyn if she died? In that case, when the sister came to ask about what had happened, he would simply say that the dragon had played with her and eaten her. Even before her death, she simply dismissed this individual. Behind the dragon's cave, the main character immediately saw that these insignificant bugs were trying to escape. Of course, he wouldn't let them do that. And to do so, Sun Yan used the power of inspiration and removed their armor. The knights were immediately surprised when they realized that all their clothes had disappeared along with their armor, and their swords were lying on the ground. Anna, who was flying on a harpy, noticed with joy in her eyes that the others had returned with Hippocles. The main character covered her face, telling her not to look or she would get a sty. He ordered them to fly back to the cave. As long as the dragon was there, everything would be fine. The Soglavtsi sat on their knees, feeling guilty because they had been late and had failed to protect their master's territory. They deserved to die. However, Sunian replied that it was not their fault. He also said that on their way back through the forest, they found this man with Evelyn's body. Sunian couldn't believe what he had just heard. Could this bastard really have killed Evelyn? Blade began to justify himself, saying that he hadn't done it. She fell sharply onto his sword. Blade asked to be released, promising to reveal a secret that would surely interest him. Blade revealed that he had come to kill the dragon because he had been seduced by Melinda. She had also killed the supreme mage, Maysont. What's more, she was now the head of the village of newcomers number 6. There were about 5,000 people there who wanted to kill the dragon. Another village of newcomers. It seemed he had more than one village boss to worry about. Blade asked if this secret would be okay with him. Sunian replied that it would be fine. The man was delighted, as he began to suspect that he could now leave. The dragon replied that of course, he could go. Hippocles asked if the master really thought he could let him go so easily. Of course not, he had simply burned him. Sunian had said he wouldn't let him go. The Soglafts admired their master. After all, they had much to learn from him. The spirit of Evelyn appeared before him. Sunian replied that by killing him, he had avenged the girl. Evelyn clung to the dragon and thanked him for that. The system reported that the master had helped the character fulfill his dream and achieve his dying blessing. He received a special ability to teleport. And in this battle, he also received 6,000 points. With this ability, he wanted to move to the village of newcomers. However, the system replied that with this ability, he could only teleport to previously dedicated places, or places marked by previous generations of dragons. The biggest problem was the hereditary ascension, which forced him into hibernation. If he had awakened, there would not have been so many casualties. The dragon asked the system if there was any way to shorten or even remove this ascension. To reduce the time in hibernation to a small amount and increase efficiency, 5,000 points are required. To reduce the hibernation time to an average amount and increase its efficiency, 10,000 points are required. And to reduce the time to a large amount, 20,000 points are required. To remove the hibernation time without accepting the inheritance, 10,000 points are required. In other words, no matter what, he will still sleep, or he simply won't receive his inheritance. He even thought about another Anne who called him a bad dragon, because you can't refuse your inheritance. Otherwise, he's done for. The main character didn't even understand why he thought of her. Sunian asked the system if it knew why other people appeared in the inherited dream realm. Most of the time, strangers do not appear in the dream realm, but in rare cases, accompanying spirits may appear. Accompanying spirits appear according to the wishes of the ruler of the dream realm, helping him complete his ascension. But they also try to lure the ruler into an even deeper sleep, and this depends on the ruler's willpower. He began to fantasize again about Anna, who told this idiot to finally get out of there. Hippocles had no idea what had happened to his master, judging by the look on his face. The main character immediately came to his senses and asked what had happened. Hippocles told his master that there were people who had surrendered, so he wanted to know what to do with them. Should they be killed? If these people did not surrender, they should be killed. But first, it would be better to lock them up, and they should keep an eye on this girl. Let her live until he returned. Hippocles would carry out his master's orders, but he had no intention of returning to the dragon's lair. For now, he doesn't want to go back there. Since a week has already passed, today he will personally become a crematorium. Sun Yen Waters Parturnek knows how to be grateful, so he didn't understand why he had to wait all night. The current score is 2,995. Anna's sympathy level is 300. Selena's sympathy level is 150. Behind the dragon's cave sat the main character, but then he saw Anna and Selena approaching him. The guy asked them why they had come there. Selena started crying and asked the black dragon if Evelyn would never come back. It seems they now know about it. That dog, Apocleus, tells everything quickly. Anna even asked if the dragon would be angry if she died one day. Sun Yen asked what kind of question that was. If there are people who mourn you, then death has more meaning. However, the main character replied that death has no meaning. Since death is inevitable, he will become so strong that he will be at the top of the food chain, so that he won't die because of his own weakness. Selena understood that he would become even stronger. Her sympathy for him increased by 20 points. Mulligan Plain, Newbie Village number 6, Sakura. There were many warnings about the approach of a powerful creature. A monster is attacking the town. The defense of the Newbie Village began. The system scanned the current level of the Newbie Village and increased the defense level. The monster entered the village. All stats were reduced by 50%. A man shouted that the enemy had attacked the village. Combat readiness was declared. The system also informed the main character that defense had been activated in this village of newbies. All stats were reduced by 50%. It's surprising that they even have a defense mechanism here. Perhaps it has a specific range. The range of the protective mechanism is a circle with a radius of 500 meters, centered in the middle of the village. That should be enough. He wanted to burn the village and its inhabitants with dragon breath. The main character noticed that his powers had indeed weakened. It didn't even look like explosions. The man did not understand why the dragon had managed to sneak in unnoticed at night. He tried to cheer them up, saying that the black dragon had weakened. If they all attacked together, they would definitely be able to kill it. He called everyone to follow him to the center of the square, where they would attack. But first, they had to activate the magic shield. How quickly they set up the shield! A girl decided to attack it using a spell. To defend himself, the main character used his wing. Another girl thought that the attack had worked, and that the dragon was scared. Now they just had to aim. However, Sun Yen thought that this was a joke about him being scared. He ordered the system to create a teleportation field. The system asked for clarification on the teleportation location. First, above the village of newbies number 6, the mages prepared an explosive spell, which they aimed at the dragon. Then he said to create a field in the center of the village of newbies number 6. Thanks to this, he was able to redirect the mage's attack back at them. The power is even greater if the players really have no limits on increasing their strength, then the power also increases. The system congratulated the owner on destroying the Newbie Village. Newbie Village number 6, Sakura Island, has been wiped off the map. The system congratulated the owner on obtaining one fragment of the Newbie Village's heart. All players from Sakura Island in Newbie Village number 6 will be randomly reborn in other villages. The system began to determine their locations. For some reason, he destroyed this village too easily. The dragon asked the system again what this other core fragment was. Was it useful in any way? The 4 fragments of the Newbie Village's heart can be combined into a single pure order to build a village. The master can use them to establish his own authority. This is a very important goal, so the system advised the master to keep it safe. He shouldn't even think about putting it under his scales. Somehow that's not enough. Under his command, there is already a village built by mages, and they are expanding rapidly. And now he needs another village construction order. Somehow, it's boring. The system asked the master not to lie about the order to build a village. As he had noticed, the defensive capabilities of the newcomer's village were very high. This was due to the power of the law contained within it. If the master had an order to build a village, he would be able to construct a similarly strong structure. Also, Under the influence of the order to build a village, the structure would have many special abilities. For example, a more convenient location, or more efficient speed. As the city's level increased, the owner would have even more rights. Why does he think it's some kind of system bug? Isn't it difficult for the system to extract the core fragments of a newbie village? The word pure was written before the order. This means that the power was taken away from the players. No wonder the system is so upset. The system reported that this time the owner received 25,000 points. He simply couldn't believe such a huge number of points. That means that after waiting for some kind of system reset, they can go and destroy several villages again. Then all his beasts will work non-stop. This system does not recommend such actions. Constantly destroying newbie villages will maximize the owner's publicity. If the owner's publicity becomes too high, they will be marked as the world boss, and their coordinates and level will be made public. With his current strength, unfortunately, it will be difficult for him to stand up to other players. How exaggerated. That means he'll be hunted every day. We need to think about mercy. This time the dragon decided to spare them. This time, the system simply remained silent. Since destroying villages will increase his publicity, how will he collect the remaining heart fragments from the villages of newbies? The master should be patient. The invasion of players will lead to the whole world going to war. During the war, countless different soldiers will appear. The village of newbies is just the beginning. In time, even more villages will be destroyed. Until the master is fully mature, you can temporarily hide behind the glory of heroes. In human terms, the system means that if you can't do it, don't even try. However, Sun Yan did not understand how he would know if something big had happened in this world. After all, he would have no idea where, and he would not even have any news. The master has a decree for a sacrifice ceremony. In fact, it can be passed on to advanced followers, and with its help, the master will understand what is happening on the continent. What kind of sacrificial ceremony was this, if the system had mentioned a summons? The dragon wanted to know when he would receive it. Since the master's current level is too low, he cannot choose for himself and can only wait. Silver Forest. He saw Anna standing dangerously on the edge of a cliff. The dragon shouted for her not to jump. However, this only caused her to fall. Her towel flew off and Sun Yan flew after her. Because of this, they fell into trouble. And then the main character noticed that they were washing themselves. Suddenly, Selena fell on him, not understanding why it was so shallow and so warm. Anna replied that there was a dragon there. Anna asked for the Dragon Lord to wake up. However, Selena thought he deserved it. There was no need to peek at girls washing themselves. However, the main characters saw another cute girl in front of them. The system reported that an invitation from a special character had been found. The current number of points was 37,999. He thought he was even starting to hallucinate. It was all because Selena had crushed Mr. Dragon. Selena replied that this couldn't be, because she was light. The mercenaries had taught her how to save a drowning person, but she didn't even know if it would work on a dragon. Anna thought it didn't matter, because it was worth a try anyway. But that required physical contact. Sun Yan was even happy because he thought of artificial respiration. However, at that moment Selena hit him. Sun Yan tried to stop her. He also mentioned that he was fine. What did the mercenaries teach you? He turned to the system, saying that it seemed like he had missed something. While the master pretended to be unconscious, he missed the call. This was bad. Why couldn't the system wake him up or automatically accept the call? How he missed the times when they bathed together in the royal city. When the steam enveloped his whole body, and it felt like he was walking among the clouds. Selena replied that there were hot springs in all the cities of the kingdom. Sometimes they held tug-of-war competitions there. Of course, even this did not escape the dragon's imagination, so he was determined to organize a tug-of-war today. Selena asked where he would find a hot spring. However, he was not talking about a hot spring. He asked the system if it could update all available items. For example, something like a heater. This system mainly provides modifications to clothing. The purpose of the store is to increase the happiness of the owner. Happiness and body are somehow unequal. Can the system see that he is happy now? If the system has a complaint book, he would like to complain there. He also asked the system how many points he needed to spend to upgrade the explosive dragon modification. The list of modifications included explosive dragon, dinosaur, and deafness. 9,000 points are required to upgrade the explosive dragon modification. Since he has enough points, he can activate the modification. To successfully activate this modification, it was necessary to increase the effect of the melting fire heart on the host's figure and muscles, which would cause acute pain. To prevent damage to the vocal cords, the system would automatically seal them. He began to sway rapidly on the ground. Selena even thought that this was just his way of expressing his joy. The explosive dragon has been activated. This modification increases the following characteristics. Total muscle strength increased by 50%. Bite strength increased by 200%. Speed reduced by 10%. Scale protection increased by 30%. Limb flexibility increased by 100%. The fire began to burn their clothes. The dragon asked the system what it was. The temperature of his heart of molten fire can reach 800 degrees. At close range, you can get burned. At such a close range, the system recommended adding the 9 Islands Spiritual Core modification. It acts as a cooling radiator. Only 10,000 points are required. Sun Yan began to insist that he was a dragon, not some kind of system unit. This was clearly a cross-promotion. The system tried to calm its owner down. After installing the radiator, the temperature of the molten heart, when it was not exploding, would drop to 38 degrees. In addition, he will receive 1 layer of protective biological membrane as a gift. A radiator is a radiator. The current number of points is 18,995. There is no more burning sensation, and the breeze is so pleasant. Although he spent a lot of points, it's still cool. The system congratulated the owner. The explosive dragon modification is complete. The combined explosion power has been increased by 50%. The eruption power has been increased by 50%. The owner has become dirtier. This is a pretty good improvement. He also wanted to ask the system what the combined explosion power was. The system suggested that he try exhaling himself. He followed the system's advice. Meanwhile, Anna and Selena approached him. Selena replied that all her clothes were ruined because of the dragon. After that, they felt hot air. It was really cool. A cooling radiator had been added, and now it could automatically regulate the temperature of the eruption. Sun Yan asked the two why they ended up in the water. Selena replied that he had ruined all their clothes. Now he was asking why. In fact, he had never seen Anna in a swimsuit before. He had to try it. 3 swimsuits were purchased for 1,000 points. He didn't even think they had swimsuits in large sizes for dragons. Anna admitted that it was so comfortable. She had never tried anything like it before. Besides, her old swimsuit was very uncomfortable. This one was comfortable to swim in. The main character suggested a tug-of-war competition. In the temple, the girl asked if they still had the strength to resist. Another elf replied that the chief knights of Alicia Alucators were returning from the first fortress with reinforcements. However, it would take them about 3 days. Therefore, she suggested that Her Highness escape. In response, the girl asked how many people they could take with them. Unfortunately, they could not take anyone with them. She would not leave. She would stay and pray that the gods would protect Santo Liste and her people. Every single one of them. She began to pray to the goddess again. However, her subordinates did not understand why Her Highness was still appealing to the gods. After all, they had abandoned them. The elf with golden eyes did not understand what she was doing. However, she had to stop her. Even if it was against Her Highness's will, she would still protect her. After all, that was her mission. The saint begged her to let her go. Suddenly, a teleportation field appeared. The saint thought a divine miracle had happened, but then they noticed that a dragon in a swimsuit had teleported to them. The Temple of Santo Liste. Sun Yan did not understand how he had ended up here, or why. He demanded an explanation from the system. She hadn't expected to see a real dragon. Due to her surprise, she accidentally let go of the princess, causing her pain. The girl immediately apologized to Her Highness and asked if she was okay. Her servant deserved to die for that. Could this black dragon really be the messenger of the gods? The system mentioned that the master himself had said that if a summons was issued, it must be accepted automatically. What was this system talking about? The system even praised the master for his praise. Sun Yan asked who was praising her here. He had just entered an important stage, and now he suddenly found himself here. The elf was delighted that the gods had heard her prayers and sent this dragon to save Santo Liste. Due to his massive build, he accidentally broke a statue that stood in the temple. They simply couldn't believe what was happening here. The main character said that he wasn't actually a god and that he didn't like the statue. Then he asked why they had summoned him. As it turned out, it was Saint Santo Liste. There used to be a peaceful state here on the southern mainland. But then the notorious mercenaries of the Dark Beast invaded it. They not only killed and plundered, but also established a so-called country of servitude. The saint begged him to save her people, and she would swear allegiance to him. This added 100 points to his favor. The dragon understood her request. Let her swear allegiance, and then he would destroy her enemies. She turned to the Great Lord, saying that Celestina would give him her loyalty and her soul. Another 100 points were added to his sympathy rating. The system congratulated the master on the fact that the sympathy level of the special character Celestina had reached the maximum of 300 points. The dragon knocked the dagger from her hands. Su Nanyu didn't need loyalty after her death. He needed her while she was alive. If they obeyed the main character's orders and didn't betray him, he would ensure their safety. What an idiot she is. She decided to stupidly believe in God, and if nothing can be done, then she'd rather kill herself and offer her loyalty. She even got knives somewhere. Her likability rating went up another 100 points. The system informed the owner that the likability rating of the special character Celestina had reached the maximum of 300 points. He received 3,000 points. In short, the system even asked him to teach him how to increase a woman's sympathy to the maximum. The dragon immediately remembered the abilities they had agreed upon. This idiot is also a special NPC. The system asked the owner not to rush. When he fulfills this girl's wish, he will receive special abilities. This damn system is getting smarter and smarter. It's as if it understands how to persuade the main character to commit murder. She didn't even mention that before. Celestina, of course, doesn't see the message from the system and asks if she said something wrong. In any case, whoever called, we need to finish this quickly, because it will be calmer that way. We need to go and destroy those mercenaries. Maybe he'll even have time to play tug-of-war with Anna. He was even stuck in the passageway. Saint Celestina said that the mercenaries were led by a 4th-rank soldier named Guts Jet. He was very cruel and had more than 3,000 men under his command. Therefore, the divine dragon had to be careful. At first, the main character wanted to find out how far the mercenaries were from the royal capital. What forces did she have, and how many soldiers were left? Under Guts' command, there were more than 3,000 people in total. The forces were diverse, ranging from goblins of the lowest level to ogres of the highest. They should have already captured the sacred fortress of Felra. It is a day's journey to the capital. And under her command, there was no army left that could be used. No wonder she was praying to the gods. In such a situation, all that remains is to ask the gods for protection. Fortunately, he has no time to worry. Such people are not like new players at all. They are much stronger than ordinary soldiers. Moreover, they have fierce soldiers of the 4 stages. Therefore, all that remains is to come up with a good plan. The sacred fortress of Felra. It is worth mentioning that the women of this coastal country are very attractive. He left only a corpse behind him. A few seconds later, a man ran over. He was furious because of that bastard. The monster leader was level 28. He was the last one. They told Iceland to stay here under cover, and then they would increase their speed. In 3 days at most, they would be able to kill this bio-trash. What 3 days? It had already been 5 days since he had infiltrated these mercenaries. They had no idea what he had been through during all these days here. And now he had to stay here for another 3 days to watch this human hell. These idiots walking around freely. Players could respawn after all. Even if they respawn, the number of times is very valuable. But don't they have any heart at all? He kept asking Iceland to calm down and be patient. Why should he calm down at all? He covered the girl with a blanket, saying he would avenge her. The man also apologized to her for coming too late. Others mentioned that they were strangers in this world. Iceland should forget about it. Their ultimate goal was to capture territory and win the game. They had to protect their own home. In response, he wanted to turn off the group channel. Monster Camp. He was tired of putting up with it all, so he decided to attack and kill these creatures. Monster Chief. The chief laughed, because he didn't even think that a traitor would suddenly appear among the mercenaries. Moreover, one so stupid as to run into their trap himself. Suddenly he heard a noise. The monster leader also ran out, wanting to find out what the sound was. Gus, level 35, Knight of Black Valor. He explained to the man that this fortress wall had been chosen as their domain. The presence of strangers here greatly upset them. Today, they would only give a warning. But if they were still here when he returned, he could not guarantee the consequences. He would turn this man to ash. Gus explained to the great dragon that there had been a misunderstanding between them. This fortress belonged to Saint Alista, and they were simply attacking this kingdom. He likes making friends with powerful beings more than anything else. Besides, he's not the type of person who likes to brag. After all, he might find something useful in his hands. Roughly speaking, he wanted to form an alliance with this dragon. After capturing Santolista, they will divide the wealth and women among themselves. They can give the dragon 9 shares, and 1 will be enough for them. This greedy man still wants to seize 1 share. All the shares must belong to him alone. When the dragon returns, he must see that all the treasures and women have remained in the kingdom. Otherwise, he will personally turn it to ashes. The sacred fortress of Felra. The man wondered what it was, and only then did he see the flying dragon. He told the others that enemies were attacking, so they should scatter. They should inform Captain Gus. The others should quickly find shelter. The dragon's fiery breath should not be underestimated. These system points can run anywhere, although the forces are unequal and he certainly cannot withstand their numbers, but the quality is good. How much is it worth saying that the mercenary captain in the Black Beast is really smart? Their camp is very scattered. There is even a well-built canal. He will burn everything here to the ground. Gus finally showed up and asked the dragon why he was attacking his mercenaries. However, the main character simply ignored him. The men asked the captain what they should do now. The captain himself would like to know what to do in this situation. He didn't even know why the dragon had appeared here. There hadn't been a single dragon here in a long time. He ordered all elite fighters to prepare for an attack on the capital of Santolista. A few servants would remain in Felra. The main priority was to prevent reinforcements from arriving. Damn that dragon. There wasn't a single living creature who could provoke him so much without paying for it. It would be better if that black dragon didn't return to its doom. Otherwise, it would bitterly regret it. Because of this, Su Nian sneezed. Who was discussing him there? Celestina asked the divine dragon if it was really possible to do that. She definitely shouldn't worry about it. He was sure they would get out of there quickly. After most of the troops left, it would be easy to return Felra. They would defend the fortress and cut off the retreat routes. She hadn't even thought about that. The divine dragons were really cool. Su Nian asked if her night princess was coming. He wanted to give her time to defend Felra so that everything would be done perfectly. As it turned out, this woman's name was Alicia. She was indeed an extraordinary knight. Then it would be the saint's turn. Celestina asked what she would have to do. The main character replied that she would have to seduce them. She hadn't expected this task at all. However, she would try to do everything anyway. The saint shouted at the vile, worthless creatures to surrender. The monsters immediately looked back and saw her seductive beauty. She even came to them herself. Celestina warned them not to come near her. Otherwise, they would be punished. The monsters asked what she was going to do. Did the saint really want to kill them? Celestina asked how they knew what she was going to say. They immediately reached for her snow-white skin, and Celestina began to ask the divine dragon for help. A red flash appeared high in the sky. There appeared a Su Nian who wondered if he was in the mood to kill them. Only then did they realize that the black dragon had returned. He simply decided to burn them with his dragon's breath. Even for her it was hot. The sacred fortress of Felra Posad. How good that he was at least able to survive. Where did this black dragon come from? His channel reopened, and people wanted to know from Iselin what was going on here. Behind him lay the dead goblin, which almost made him vomit. The mercenaries had already left for the royal capital of Santolista, so now the man no longer needed to be undercover. Others wondered why he thought so, and what exactly had happened there. Could Aislinn have already given himself away? It didn't really matter. But the mercenaries were suddenly attacked by a black dragon, which seriously injured them. What's more, the dragon would return. According to his assumptions, Gus will not linger any longer and will attack the royal capital directly. He won't even stop in the villages along the way to have some fun. Village of Newcomers number 3. The Heavenly Dynasty. They also learned about the dragon there. That's not bad at all. They might even have a chance to subdue it. Iselin sent a video, so they should watch it first. Who is this guy joking around? This dragon is already at level 32 and stage 4. There is no one who can subdue him. The man informed the teacher that Iselin had sent a video of the dragon. The others then also realized that this monster was at level 32, stage 4. What an amazing body it had. He heard that the village of Newcomers, Sakura, had been destroyed by a dragon. Apparently, they had underestimated the strength of the natives of this world, especially this legendary beast. But wasn't he exaggerating in his conclusions? After all, it had only defeated Felra. According to the information provided by Iselin, the defenders of the fortress were just cannon fodder. There is no need to fear a ferocious monster. What we should really fear is the human mind, especially that of a dragon. After watching him for a while, you can see that the dragon deliberately flies away and then returns. Moreover, he understands what a false attack is. If all legendary beasts in other worlds were like this, it would be difficult for them to win. Therefore, they will not only subjugate the people of this world, but also the monsters. News update. A new world boss has appeared. It takes about half a day to travel from the sacred fortress of Felra to the royal capital. Celestina asked what they should do now. The dragon replied that she should order the villagers to take shelter in their homes. That way they could avoid unnecessary deaths. They would wait by the sea for the weather to improve. He also received a message that a new world boss had appeared. The main character was already eager to see who this unfortunate person was, who had been so quickly labeled as a world boss. The new world boss was disgusting, but for some reason, this boss seemed strangely familiar to him. The system reported that his relatives had destroyed the village of Newcomers. The reward was on its way, and only then did he realize that this unfortunate person was himself. And he had no idea what his dear relatives had done during the 2 days he had been away. Celestina asked if the divine dragon was okay. In reality, he knew he wouldn't survive after hearing that news. There was no point in even going back. Anna didn't even know what was going on. He decided to just go back for a minute in the evening. It seemed like everyone already knew that he had become the boss of this world. They felt the spirit realm calling them. The main character asked them not to worry, as they would only be gone for a short while and would return soon. He returned to the dragon's lair and looked for Anna, Selena, and Apoclia. However, there was no one inside. He noticed a guard dozing and immediately woke him up. Soglid asked who dared to enter. As soon as he recognized the dragon as his master, he was happy to see him return. As soon as he saw his master, everything suddenly became fine. Sunian asked if anything had happened while he was away. His master had suddenly disappeared, and they thought that some evil force had taken hold of them. So he told us to go in and head east to look for his traces. They should be in the village of newcomers number 1 by now. Anna asked Apoclia if there were still no traces of the Dragon Lord. Soglevec replied that there were still none. Those people claimed they hadn't seen any black dragon here. She must have been mistaken about the location. It seems that man wasn't lying. Then they must continue their search. Suddenly she heard the voice of the Dragon Lord calling Anna. How good that he returned in time. He had no idea that she had such a talent for military affairs. He had even considered returning for a moment to chase Andreus away. Selena asked the dragon where he had suddenly run off to. He had disappeared so unexpectedly while they were bathing in the hot spring. She didn't know anything, but she was very worried about him. Su Nian didn't want to disappear so suddenly either. It was all the fault of the damn system. Since everything was fine with the Dragon Lord, she was only glad. Some kind of light prevented him from seeing. The dragon didn't even realize that it was so bright that it was blinding him. Hippocles showed him all the riches they had taken from the villagers. It turns out you can even play like that. And who is the evil dragon now? Maybe he often lacks perversions, but they are certainly not foreign to him. The master absorbed 497,000 grams of gold. Gold increases the strength of scales by 1.1%. Fire resistance by 1.7%. He also received 1 fragment of the heart of the village of newbies. And for this he received 20,000 system points. The system offered the master to buy its system bag. If he doesn't, he'll lose everything. However, this system shouldn't even think about tricking him. The capital of Santolista. Alicia informed Her Highness that mercenaries were approaching the capital. Therefore, she asked where the divine dragon had flown. Celestina did not expect them to arrive so quickly. Weren't they supposed to come in the evening? Alicia replied that since the mercenaries left the village to loot, they had not gained any more warriors to stop them. They had sped up. However, the divine dragon had returned to the sacred land the previous evening. This was news she hadn't expected. Alicia replied that they could still escape. Finally, they arrived at the royal capital of Santoliste. It was very strange that they had come across so many villages, and there were no traces of troops in any of them. There was not even anyone to fight back against the mercenaries. Had they all fled their homes in a hurry? Suddenly, Celestina appeared before them. He was immediately tempted as soon as he saw the holy girl who had come out onto the city wall. However, it turned out that this impression did not make any impression on the captain. Girls appeared from the fortress, rejoicing at their arrival. They urged them to come quickly. We need to attack the city head-on, because they have no soldiers left. There's nothing on the wall. They can easily defeat them. Gus told these idiots to shut up. Had they lost all their brains? These idiots didn't even understand anything. Their envy was obvious. It was all very strange. It was definitely a trap. The commander ordered all the soldiers to gather and poison the water in the moat. They would not attack the city, but would besiege it, cutting off all supply lines. It wouldn't be long before they came out to beg for mercy. What a wise captain they had. Only a strategist like him could come up with such a brilliant plan. Gus replied that the Holy Maiden should stop resisting and voluntarily become a vassal, and then he might allow her to crawl between his legs. He could only dream of that. These people had slaughtered her people, invaded her kingdom, and now they wanted to desecrate the capital of Santolista. Even if Celestina died, she had sworn to take them all with her to hell. Surely she doesn't really intend to do that. All her people are in the nearby villages, and they will hang them at the city gates. He asked Her Highness, the Holy Maiden, to look the truth in the eye. Was she really prepared to simply watch men and women die? Or worse than death? The elf begged her mistress to save her, for she did not want to die. Those scoundrels would pay dearly for this. Suddenly she heard the voice of the divine dragon. He had finally returned. All in all, they had come up with a good plan. but the truth was that they would die here. They immediately recognized that it was the same black dragon that had attacked them in Felra. Now it was clear that he was in league with the Holy Maiden.